Yo, what up? You know what it is. It's your boy AJ Francis reporting to you live from New York City, the birthplace of hip-hop. And I'm telling you that I'm only tuned in with Tru Heel Heat Wrestling. Holla at me.
Alright, this is Dan House here, very nice, very evil. You are watching Tru Heel Heat. Probably should have had MJF do this, but here we are.
Welcome to Tru Heel Heat, the place where we use insider terms because we think we know what the fuck we're talking about, even though we don't. My name's Maxwell Jacob Friedman, and I'm better than you, and you know it.
Hey guys, it's Rosa, and welcome to Tru Heel Heat.
It is Saturday morning in the US, Saturday afternoon here in beautiful UK. It is time for the flagship podcast, the Saturday Cookout. You know the deal. We talk about everything going on in professional wrestling. And boy, oh boy, was it a busy week when it comes to news with WWE collaborating with TNA as Jordan Grace shows up on NXT. You had a former AEW star making his debut in WWE this week. AEW dealing with yet another major injury as Adam Copeland is out and stripped of the TNT title. MJF is back though, so that is good news there. But back on WWE, contracts expire. Becky Lynch is a free agent today. Ricochet will be a free agent next month. Chad Gable will be a free agent next week. Natalya might be a free agent at any time, even though she's been in WWE since the year 1900. But we got a lot to discuss. It's the Tru Heel Heat flagship podcast. Hello. Wrong thumbnail. Hello. It is me, your Tru Heel Phenom, SP3. We are live on the Tru Heel Heat, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter for Tru Heel Heat 279. Contracts, collabs, and chaos. The latest wrestling news, including WWE and TNA working together, collaborating as Jordan Grace shows up on NXT to face Roxanne Perez at next weekend's Battleground. A former AEW star, Ethan Page, debuts in NXT as Trick Williams' next challenger for the NXT Championship. We also had Adam Copeland as a major injury in AEW as he is stripped of the TNT Championship. You also got plenty of news from AEW Double or Nothing. You had Dynamite this week, Rampage, WWE SmackDown, Raw, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling's Best of Super Juniors 31 final week, and TNA Impact. We'll give you our matches of the week and final predictions for Best of Super Juniors semifinals and the finals at NJPW Dominion next Sunday. The gang is here. We are without our princess of all the true heels this week. Miss Chrissy Love is away, but don't worry. He is here, the Tru Draw himself. Josh, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. So much to talk about. So much to promote as well. So look forward to this episode.
Absolutely. We got a lot to discuss coming off the heels of AEW Double or Nothing last Sunday. We did our flagship podcast on a Sunday that week. Early announcement for y'all all. We will be back on a Sunday next week as Miss Chrissy Love is busy, as well as Josh is busy next Saturday. So we'll be with you next Sunday. We'll also be with you the Sunday following because WWE is doing another early pay-per-view on the 15th, so we can't do it then. So back-to-back Sunday episodes coming up over the next 2 weeks. So hope you enjoy us being on our regularly stationed broadcast time of Saturday, 11:05 a.m. Eastern Time, the Tru Heel Heat flagship podcast. And we are glad you are joining us live. We are glad if you're watching us on demand. Remember to show your appreciation back the simplest way possible. You just have to drop the thumbs up on this video. You can also share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family on all your favorite social media platforms. If you're new to the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. And of course, sound off in the live chat. We love to interact with all of you. As always, that is the best part of us being here on the Tru Heel Heat flagship podcast, especially when we are here live. We appreciate the support as always in the chat. So we'll highlight as many of your comments as possible. But to make sure your comment is highlighted on screen, you can send a super chat donation. Every dollar amount matters. It goes back to the contributors that you usually see on screen with us here, and it will make sure your comment is highlighted on screen. And we are joined by Prince. Prince is here. How you doing, Prince? Exactly. I appreciate Prince being here. But yes, we got a busy week in professional wrestling to discuss. Like I said before, AEW Double or Nothing was last Sunday. We had Dynamite. Rampage was back on a Friday, but early yesterday, WWE had a crazy week. Oh man, how are you after all this happened this past week in professional wrestling and in the world with it's not just Vince McMahon who has the U.S. government on his ass. Donald Trump, guilty of all charges. How you like them now?
It's been an interesting week. Like honestly, it's not the craziest week of wrestling, but there was like so much news. You know what I mean? Like so much news within like the industry. But then you have the outside stuff. You have more event stuff, which. It's a lot more serious now than people think, because I think when people heard like the whole that the loss is being paused, I was like, no, you got to hear why it's being paused, and you find out that
they didn't realize.
then they find out like, oh yeah, the government now is involved. That's why in the request from the government, that's why the lawsuit is paused, because they're doing their own investigation. I mean, and then the stuff with Donald Trump, I mean, the whole thing is just a mess, right? I'm not a political guy. Me personally, I'm not a political guy. So, when people do these weird posts about glorifying Donald Trump or, they support who they support, it's whatever to me. It's always about how you present yourself. It's always how you go about it. I think some people go way to the extreme when it comes to all that stuff. So I stay away from it. But then, when the verdict came out, I mean, it's just kind of weird where everyone was like, I don't care. he's still my president. I'm still gonna vote for him. It's like, okay, cool, I guess. Like, nothing's gonna change your mind. I mean, you're gonna vote for a criminal now, but that's cool. Like, that's like, what do you say to that? You know what I mean? Like, what do you say to that? It's just, I mean, am I surprised? No. Of any of it? Am I surprised of the conviction? No. Do I think it's a where he thinks it's like, oh, that it's a, you know, they're using him as a scapegoat for a lot of things or a witch hunt? No, because I think he's done a lot of shady stuff and a lot of it just caught up to him. That's just all it is. Like, that's how I feel about it. But it's been fun to watch.
And now WWE has the honor of, they have 2 convicted criminals in the Hall of Fame.
Oh boy.
You got Sonny, Tammy Lynn Cinch, and you got Donald Trump. And then Vince will be in the Hall of Fame one day. No, I'm not going to doubt that.
She's probably gonna get to the Hall of Fame 100 years from now when people forget what he did. That's the best way you could do it, because you ain't gonna do it anytime soon. There's no way you could get away with that. There's no way. Not even 20 years from now. 20 years from now, people are still gonna remember this. So it was like, that's gonna be interesting how they're gonna pull that bullshit off.
100% agreed there. And this week, we don't have Miss Chrissy Love, like we said before, with us, but we got one of our favorites, our recurring co-host, who hasn't been with us since April, and it's now June, but he is back. He is back by popular demand. You see him over on the WrestleTalk podcast YouTube channel, as well as the WrestleTalk channel. He did the news. You've seen him on Wrestlings this week, making Michael Oku very upset by saying the T word. He is Set E Niangi. How are you doing, good sir?
I'm doing well. Can you guys hear me well? Do I come across well? Can you hear me? Okay.
Absolutely.
Good afternoon, Sid. Welcome to the UK. Good afternoon. Fresh haircut. My guy's been losing weight as well, because it's like you've been shifting pounds in it. You're looking like your old self when I first met you.
You know, my missus said that I've lost weight too. So maybe it's when I lose the beard, I lose weight. So I don't know. Maybe it's not.
Maybe I don't know. But yeah, you know, you're looking handsome, you know, as always. It's good to be here. I needed coffee because I've been up to a lot of parental stuff, just stuff around the house. That's why I'm late. I apologize. The fact that you chased after me, you're like, hey bro, we're gonna be there. I was like, no, I'm gonna be there. It just, the cat's been puking because he ate some foam. So we've been dealing with that. Yes, we've got half of a foam that you've been. Yeah, exactly. Your face, my face as well. Imagine waking up in the middle of the night. Yeah, you know, you do your typical night, you know, morning wee, wherever it is, and you're leaving. You got slime on your foot. You're like, what is that? Did I slip on a slug? And you see some black content. And you're like, you chuck it in the bin. Then later on, your missus saying, yo, the cat's been puking. I was like, oh, okay, that's what it was, foam. And he'd been puking all day. And I went, the evidence is in the bin. And now we figured it out. Might have to go to the vet. He's not his usual self. He's kind of moping around, going to sleep. Yeah, that's what you get, you little bastard, little pussy. That's what you get. Mm-hmm. Who told you to put stuff in your mouth? You know, not everything goes inside the mouth. So I hope he learns. He's a young boy. You know, we got him last year. You know, little Tunde Kazuchika. You know, Niangi. Yeah. So he's learning. But also,
call them after the goat. Call them after the goat. That's great.
Yeah, because like my partner. Yeah. So when we watch New Japan, she only knows a handful of people. Obviously, not there anymore, but she knows who Kazuchika Okada is. So when I say, look, it's Kazuchika Okada. She'll say, oh yeah, it's great to see you. Yeah. Listen, Will Ospreay didn't believe me when I said, I was like, oh yeah, her favorite wrestler is Kazuchika Okada. He goes, yeah, sure, yeah. She knows who Okada is. I was like, yeah, it's Kazuchika Okada. Who doesn't know who Okada is? He's got aura. You know, he's got that aura. Anyway,
the aura is still intact. It's still intact.
Speaking of aura, I've got the meaty aura because I've been working out consistently since April. So that's why I've been looking because when Sid sees me, I want him to see me at my absolute best. So I've been working out, You know, to one point, I nearly challenged Michael Oku for the British, undisputed heavyweight title, because I could technically do that, right? All I need is the right training partner, to go to the right dojo, and I got to hook up to get it done. I could challenge him, right? I look intimidating. I could beat people up for the title if I wanted to, but I'm going for a different title.
All you need is one good training session with Will, and I think you will be ready to go 10 minutes and lose to
lose. I never lost in backyard wrestling. That's how entertaining I was. They never let me lose. Listen, I do a mean T-bone suplex. I used to call it a Kentucky Fried suplex.
That's you big leaguing them. You're big leaguing them. You were Hogan. You was like, oh, you're gonna lose that. That doesn't work for me.
No, I would lose. I would lose. No, I would lose. I would lose. But I don't want to embarrass, as Gunther says, this great sport. I wouldn't want to embarrass this great sport by getting 10 minutes, right? And blow up, Yeah, I'm not going to go there. I got other ways of challenging him, but it's not in the ring. But yeah, Sid, so great to see you. So great to have me on the show. And what's causing all this? I'm going to shut up now. What's causing all this?
We got a lot causing this because you came on a good week. We got a lot of wrestling news to discuss coming off the heels of Double or Nothing. But before we do that, we want to shout out everyone who's showing us support around social media here on the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel and our Patreon, our Tru Heel Roll Call, our top 3 conversation starters over on the Tru Heels group page on Facebook, our Tru Heel Trinity. Number 3 was Jermaine Packman. Number 2, Joe Bellini. And number 1, Stewie John Palmer. Our Patreon backers, you got Bala B, you got Alan Weinstein, the Negro Buck Nick Jackson, Alex McCarthy, Professor Chris, Austin K, Trey Jones, Robert, Steve, Ladarius, John, Dan, Kobe, Dolores, John Martin, DJ Eric, Marcus Ryan, James, Alan, Santo. Thank you so much for supporting over at patreon.com/Tru Heel Heat. $3 a month gets you exclusive content, plus the Tru Heel Heat Prediction Championship, which I'm guessing Romeo will bring it back soon. I don't know when, but he'll figure it out when he tallies the last season, which he should just give me my award already. But anyway, we got to go into what we missed, and what we missed was AEW Double or Nothing from last Sunday from the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada, the 5th iteration of Double or Nothing. The show featured the Elites, Jack Perry, Kashika Okada, and the Young Bucks defeating Team AEW's Bryan Danielson, FTR, and Darby Allin in an absolutely batshit insane Anarchy in the Arena main event that featured a bus crash, a man being set on fire, an exploding steel chair shot, and of course, Darby Allin deciding to become a piñata before Team AEW lost, with Jack Perry pinning Bryan Danielson. In the second of our triple main event, you had Mercedes Moné defeating Willow Nightingale in an excellent encounter to win the TBS championship, which was also the longest AEW women's matchup in the company's history. Post-match, you had Chris Statlander and Stokely Hathaway turning their back on Willow Nightingale, with Chris Statlander finally turning heel to the enjoyment of Stokely Hathaway, of course. In the third and final of our triple main event, you had Swerve Strickland beat Christian Cage in a great match to retain the AEW world title. Post-match, Swerve was out there celebrating with Floyd Money Mayweather. Will Ospreay, the aforementioned aerial assassin, defeated Roderick Strong in a tremendous opener to win the AEW International Championship. And overcoming a bunch of interference from the Undisputed Kingdom to pick up the victory and his first official title in AEW. But it wasn't the only thing that Will won this week. You also had the Bang Bang Gang. They up the victory, retaining the AEW Unified Trios Championships over Death Triangle. Meanwhile, you had Timeless Toni Storm. She picked up the win over Serena Deeb to retain the AEW Women's World Championship. Adam Copeland did a death-defying dive off of a steel cage and still retained the TNT Championship over Malachi Black in a bloody steel cage matchup that featured Gangrel, even in the odds, for Adam Copeland against the House of Black. You had John Moxley. He picked up the win over Konosuke Takeshita in an IWGP heavyweight title eliminator matchup. Chris Jericho retained the FTW championship over Katsuyori Shibata and Hook to retain that title due to interference from Brian Keith. And one of the big moments of the night, you had MJF make his return to AEW, the former AEW World Champion, to lay out Adam Cole and cut an electric promo to confirm he has re-signed with AEW and he's not fucking going anywhere. And also, we had me being right. Yes, as I predicted on last week's Tru Heel Heat, the Owen Hart Cup will determine the challengers for the AEW Women's World Championship and AEW World Title, as announced by Dr. Martha Hart and Tony Khan on the pre-show set. What did you think about Double or Nothing last Sunday?
I'll be honest, there's so much wrestling I had to get through, so I watched the important matches. So don't ask me what the important matches was, because I watched, let me say I watched the talking point matches, if that makes sense. Matches I knew that would come up, so I had to give an expert opinion. From what I saw, from the matches I chose, represented the show very well. It was really good. I enjoyed it for what it was. I felt like Anarchy in the Arena was the closest we got to Undertaker versus Mankind Hell in a Cell 98, meaning without all the stunts, it would have been an okay Anarchy in the Arena match. The reason I say that is I felt there was a lot more walking around than usual. There was a lot more quiet spots in between things. And I also felt like there's kind of timing issues when Darby came out before Jack Perry and Tony Khan. So he had to go hide around the corner and then do it again, because you could tell there were certain things that they were doing, and they tried to do big things, and I felt like that led to quiet points in the match. When I'm allowed to think, that's how I know my intention to lose it is getting lost from the match. But overall, the emotions were high, right? The stunts were great. So overall, what I remember was greatness in that match. You said overall, so I'm gonna stop now. I'm gonna let Josh, answer your question. But in terms of overall, it was a memorable show. Heel turns happened. History was made for longest match ever. There's so many things that happened. But when we go bit by bit, I'll break down the individual matches that I watched.
Josh, I know you were on the review with us, but any additional thoughts? And now that you've had a week to think about Double or Nothing, where do you think it stands for AEW in 2024?
I still feel the same way. Definitely a great show. Definitely about 2 or 3 matches that probably shouldn't have been on the card. That's mostly how I feel about that. Main event was great. Can't complain about that. So much violence. Somebody got set on fire. I enjoyed it. I know it's not a lot. I know it's not for a lot of people, but it's fucking Anarchy in the Arena. The fuck did you want it a 5-star classic?
Hey,
yes. No kidding.
I almost went 5 stars with it. I bumped it down to 4 3/4, but I was near 5 stars for this because I thought it was better than last year's. I thought that it was right up there with the first Anarchy in the Arena, just for the list of things that they did. I know Sat said there was some quiet points. I didn't really feel like that. I thought the beginning part with the music was the best use of music in Anarchy in the Arena history. Just the final countdown and Darby hitting the coffin drop off the balcony right on cue for the first final countdown. That's one of the best use of music in a wrestling match I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, especially that part with Matt. When Matt told him to cut it off, he was just like that they're paying $200,000 for it.
Loved it. And also Jack Perry getting the biggest victory of his career, pinning, Bryan Danielson. He did it. I was like, he did the bicycle knee. It kind of like a cross between the bicycle knee and a Claymore knee to the face, right? It kind of looked. That's what he did, right? Need him in the face. The match was good.
He calls it. I love the name that he uses. He calls it the glass jaw knee strike.
The glass jaw knee strike. I like it. We'll come back to the old days. It's almost like the sweet chin music. So I want to talk about Takeshita because that's been like my bone of contention with AEW at the moment. Is because Sid's here in the UK. I think he's probably going to All In. If Takeshita is still in the same spot he was last year. What are we doing, sort of thing? I know me and you had a discussion in the group chat how, you know, the title is not meant to make the person is, you know, meant to make the title. But I feel like when you give a wrestler a belt, you tell them what direction you're going. You can't, like, for example, I'll give an example. Will Ospreay's international championship. That shows you, okay, we're going somewhere with this guy. You know, he's done great, you know, he had great matches. We're giving an international title. This is what we can expect from him. If Takeshita won the TNT title, now that it's vacant, that'd be like, great. We're going with him. The Don Callis family, he was a centerpiece of a group. You know, whatever weaknesses, perceived weaknesses he had, Don Callis was meant to cover it. He's not meant to be Don Callis, the fucking star. It's meant to be Takeshita, the crown jewel of the group. You can't have the crown jewel of the group coming near and nearly winning and then losing. The whole point of him turning heel was, okay, we're shedding the whole happy-go-lucky baby face, you know, the whole Cinderella story. He's meant to be, he's a heel now, he's vicious, he's now winning matches that are important. Padding victories doesn't mean nothing to me. Oh, he's won 11 of his last match. Give him a title, because I feel like he's in the same place he was last year. All I want is upward trajectory for the guy. This is not me like crapping on AEW. You and I talk about WWE with the bad things they do, like what they need to improve on, what Triple H needs to improve on. I feel like with Konosuke Takeshita, you've got someone that's very special, is a great wrestler, should be wrestling weekly. They need to decide who wrestles weekly on Collision, who wrestles weekly in Dynamite. Sometimes people get lost in the sauce, and he's one of them, and he shouldn't. He's great at what he does. And even the match with Moxley, if he can't challenge for the IWGP title because, you know, he's a DDT guy, they could have done something different with him. I felt like this was a knee-jerk reaction because people like myself was complaining that Konosuke Takeshita is really just kicking dust, not doing anything of note. They only bring him out. We want a great match. Swerve needs a great match. Konosuke Takeshita, come out. Great match. All right, great, buddy. We'll see you next month. I want something substantial for him.
No, I agreed with like what your point was. I didn't agree with the way you tweeted it out in comparison to Shinsuke Nakamura. That was I told you I'll tell you here on live on air.
Yeah,
I thought that was the wrong choice of comparison.
You're right. I should have went for Tozawa.
100%. This guy. Your point was 100% valid, and we even talked about it 2 weeks ago on the flagship here, where we confirmed, all of us agreed, AEW has fumbled Takeshita. Like, he beat Kenny Omega at Wembley Stadium. He beat Kenny Omega in a 5-star classic at All Out. I said after All Out, the two guys that they totally dropped the ball on was Orange Cassidy, who seemed like he was on the cusp of being in the main event scene and being a top babyface for the company. And now, 9-10 months later, he's in the exact same spot that he was a year ago. Not even in the exact same spot he was coming out of All Out. He's in the exact same spot he was a year ago at Double or Nothing when he was in a battle royal. And this time, he's in a non-title matchup against a guy he already beat, and then he beat him again. And notice, I didn't even mention that matchup in my notes for Double or Nothing because it wasn't that important.
Ricky Starks is another guy that dropped as well. Starks is another guy.
We had him in the title 2 weeks ago too, because we said AEW has fumbled both of them. They fumbled Ricky Starks, they fumbled Konosuke Takeshita, they fumbled Orange Cassidy, they fumbled Wardlow. They fumbled a lot of people. It's feeling like, we talked about it 2 weeks ago, it's feeling like mid-2010s WWE with the amount of people that are either underutilized or have just completely dropped the ball on, and that is not a good thing. And I understand where, we'll talk about later, former AEW talent is saying that AEW is losing its goodwill with the fans, and a lot of that has to do with the stars that they have dropped the ball on. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. And with Takeshita, I mean, it's a good thing he's going to be in this ladder match for the TNT title, but I don't see him winning it, unfortunately.
Who do you think is going to win? Like, with your expert wisdom on what's going on there, like, who's good? Because you watch a lot more wrestling than I do. I more or less read the results, watch the main stuff, and dip, because there's too much wrestling. I'm sorry. Ever since I stopped doing a full-time gig with WrestleTalk, that's what I've been doing. I'll be like, I pick and choose. I read stuff. I want to watch the segment. I legit do my own little edit. I'll put on the whole 2-hour show, and I'm like, skip. I don't want to watch that match. Here's a segment. Ooh, that's what I've been doing. So, do you think if Daniel Garcia is going to win the TNT title? No,
it's going to be Jack Perry. Honestly, I feel like AEW already for the title, because we've had so many fighting champions whether it be TNT champions, international champion. Hell, Swerve started off his reign saying that he's going to be a fighting champion. The open challenges and fighting champions, that I thought it would have been a nice change of pace for someone to just be handed the title. And they could do qualifying matches for a ladder match to become the number one contender to face Jack Perry for the TNT title.
Bingo. I think you're right. I think it's funny to me because we still talk about pillars, how Sammy Guevara is now dead last on the pecking order, and good old Jack Perry. It's kind of like, I'm not saying there's a blood sacrifice on CM Punk's AEW career, but there was a blood sacrifice on CM Punk's AEW career in order to get Jack Perry where he needed to be. The guy had negative aura. Now all of a sudden, his beard's bushier. He looks like he's been in penitentiary for the past 7-8 months. He's got a whole different attitude, a whole different vibe about him, and I see great things for him because we all know that he's a very talented in-ring competitor. Where it was, his babyface shtick ran its course. He needed something different. The original change just wasn't, we weren't buying it, but this scapegoat, unfortunately, would never happen had the whole situation with CM Punk happen. You know, I love the scapegoat. I wish we got there a different way. You know, I still wish CM Punk was in AEW because it makes more sense there. That's a whole different story. But we have the scapegoat, and I hope for all the issue of last year All In, let's just say I hope there's a positive with that issue. If Jack Perry ends up having a great career out of it, so be it. So be that. CM Punk's legendary AE career came to an end because we needed to get this guy over, you know. Like you said, there's been a lot of fighting champions. I think what AEW needs to do is distinguish what the mid-card titles are. Because you mentioned, I think the last time I was on the show with you, you mentioned how the TNT title is the sports entertainment belt. That's where all the shenanigans happen. That's how Christian established it, thankfully. Yeah. And then now the international title is what the TNT title used to be. It's the workhorse title, the way Orange Cassidy established it. Continental title, I guess it becomes relevant when you got a tournament. Up until then, it's just a prop. Unfortunately, I just don't want to be horrible. It's true because Okada's not losing the belt until until the tournament happens. It's just something for him to hold on to. Yeah. So that belt doesn't have a defined personality. But the optics of it for a casual fan is too many titles. Because when you look on the screen, you're like, he's got a belt. I saw, there's 3 mid-card title belts. But anyway, I'm going to shut up because I'm going to let you guys.
And literally, no. You make a great point because we're not going to mention it when we talk about Dynamite. Excalibur called that title every other mid-card title except for the one that it actually was on the show. He said it was the TNT champion. I mean, the international champion. He's the continental champion. How did you get that wrong twice? It's crazy.
But we even excluded the converse when you got a television title. The pure title was injured, apparently. I forgot that who the pure champion was. I was like, what happened to that belt? You're like, oh, snap. Utah is champion. Someone had to remind me on Twitter. I was like, okay, that's what happened. Yeah, there's too many belts, and I think RAH needs to be utilized differently. We know it's dead, I've come to terms with it. It's not AEW RAH, okay? Just make it developmental, make it a place where wrestlers are not being utilized. It could be, better used there and, develop, characters or personalities, whatever needs be, then bring them back up to the main roster when there's a spot. If there's not a spot, just keep them in RAH like Triple H used to do with the NXT talents.
Pretty much. That's where they need to go with Ring of Honor, but what would you say was the best match to you from Double or Nothing, Zach?
To me, the best match. You know what? I like the Mercedes Monet match with Willow. That was really, really good. I feel like the Roddy Strong and Will Ospreay match was really good, but it got overshadowed with the segment afterwards, so you didn't have time to digest it. And the only critique I have about the Hilton from Chris Statlander is we didn't have a chance to get emotional about it because Excalibur was like, next up, we got it's kind of like, wait. She just told on her best friend. Imagine if Ciampa and Gargano getting smashed in Ciampa. All right, guys, forget about that. And, the show's over. So I'm going to go with, there's a lot of great matches. But for me, I think the Mercedes match, because it was kind of like her redeeming herself. Because I feel like a lot of people still don't give her flowers as an in-ring competitor. And Willow's, it's like Willow coming out party, man. Like Willow won the Owen Cup last year. And they didn't do much with her. And then when I did Rest Things, I kind of said that unfortunately, this push that we've seen from Willow was not to get her over. It's because she was chosen. It's kind of like, Mercedes, like, I really want to redo what happened last year. So give me Willow instead of the strong title. Give me the TBS title. We're just gonna redo it again. And I jokingly said it was Hogan-esque. It's not Hogan-esque, even though it was to get her victory back.
No, Hogan would only choose Brutus. He would only choose his best friend.
Now I'm using
that's what Hogan would do.
No, I meant for example,
it's more Flair. It was more Flair.
No, I meant like the Ultimate Warrior example. I meant the Ultimate Warrior example because he just got Ultimate Warrior to WCW just so he can beat him, and he wanted Yokozuna in WCW just so he could beat him as well. So he just wanted to get his win back. But I don't see anything negative.
No, but with Hogan never got Warrior push in WCW. That's why I say it's more Flair, because this is what Flair did. He would be like, Barry Windham, that's who I want to face for the title. So WCW, NWA would build up Barry Windham to lose to Ric Flair. Oh, I want to face Sting. I'm going to make Sting. Oh, we build up Sting so he can go 30 minutes with Ric Flair, and he's getting over in the process. Like, Willow got more over in the process of this. That's why I said Hulk Hogan, that's not a good comparison, because Hogan never did that for anybody.
True. So now that she's over, I'm worried that it's kind of like with Garcia, when Garcia became over during the tournament and nothing really materialized except for a little mini push with FTR. I said on the other pod that basically Chris Statlander just turned heel. So you're in that weird situation where you got an upcoming babyface with so much momentum and heat post-match. You got a new established heel you need to establish. It's obvious that Willow's going to eat the pin because you're trying to establish Chris Statlander, because I equate Chris Statlander to what Rhea Ripley is in WWE. They got a similar fan base, two tall, statuesque, muscular women with, dweeby guys behind them. So you need to establish, Chris Statlander as a heel. So obviously Willow's going to take the loss for it. I just hope that proving herself on the microphone, having great matches, going to Stardom, being a traveling champion, that's going to do a lot for Willow standing in autumn or winter time. Because at the moment, unfortunately, she's there to put other people over. But I hope her time comes, because every time they give her the ball, she knocks it out of the park. And every time they give her the ball, it's not by design to get her over. She won a title by accident. She was heated up because she had to look strong in defeat against, Mercedes. Kind of like, I want to face her. Please build her up. Please, you should do better than that. You shouldn't need Mercedes to tell you that. She should have already been on that level when she came in. But I just hope that Willow gets the push that she deserves, because you got what could be a generational babyface for the women's division if pushed right. Because that's when you get arguments. Oh, we don't have big stars. Or you do. Willow could be a crossover star. Do more with her. Don't be like, we need someone from the WWE. You don't. Now you got Mercedes. You don't need any more women from the WWE. Build talents from within. You got enough great female talents. The women's division's healthy. I keep laughing that Britt Baker seems like she doesn't fit in this current division. It seems like she's so far removed from what this division is at the moment. Because before, it used to be Britt Baker was the division, and now the division has moved on. And I'm so curious to see what she looks like in this division. Jamie Hayter's going to flourish in this. I can't wait to see her return. So yeah, there's so many great things that AEW is doing. I just hope that they push them well and no one gets forgotten. That's been the issue. People being forgotten in the interim.
Yeah, you can make all these people stars and have a healthy division, because just look at from the time Britt was here, like Timeless Toni Storm is one of the biggest characters in professional wrestling. You got Mercedes Moné, who's a bona fide star where she goes. You got Willow Nightingale, who's been elevated. You had Chris Statlander, who is elevated. You had Julia Hart, who's been elevated. Sky Blue's in a better position than she was before. Everybody still wants Athena to be on AEW television. Like, they have a boatload of talent. They don't need any more female talent. I'm glad that the women's division is in a great place, and I'm glad I asked you what you thought was the best match, because to prove my point again, Josh, what we said on the review, that this was the good side. One of the better things about Double or Nothing was the fact that when we did our panel, every one of us on the panel said a different match for match of the night. Sats agreed with, I believe, Jimmy on our review said Mercedes and Willow. But I think that's the difference between this pay-per-view and Dynasty and Revolution, which I thought were better shows. But those shows had bona fide matches that you knew where everybody was going to say was the match of the night. You knew everybody was either going to say Takeshita and Ospreay for Revolution or the Sting's final match. And you knew with Dynasty, everybody was saying Ospreay and Danielson, which is my match of the year. But this one, it's kind of everywhere where people are saying, and Dave Meltzer rated Ospreay and Roderick the highest rated matchup on the show. So I like that about
his lowest rating in a while. For anyone, that's a great rating. For Will Ospreay, it's kind of like, wait, what? He got a B plus.
He didn't get 5 stars,
right? It's almost like a joke. When's the last time Will Ospreay got 4 and a half stars? That doesn't happen. He eats 5 stars. He wakes up and he gets a pending 5 stars just for waking up. You know, so it's. I think it's because they had shenanigans at the ringside. Maybe that's why a star got knocked off. If it was a straight bell-to-bell battle between 2 guys, it probably would have been a 5-star. But Roderick Strong is like the Perry Saturn of this generation, where he's a great wrestler, but he doesn't get his flowers like the way the other wrestlers do. He's incredible. Like Roddy's incredible.
He's the Malenko to me because he's got the same attire as well.
Yeah, he's got the same building attire, but in terms of moveset, he's got like. Then again, I've always like Malenko's moveset.
He's like a hybrid. He's like a hybrid
of the two. Yeah,
I feel like a hybrid.
Yeah, because Perry Saturn hits hard, like Roderick Strong hits hard. He's got the finesse side of it as well, but he's got the build of the Malenko, which you're right. Yeah, it is like if you put both of them in a generator, you get Roderick Strong.
Very true, but it wasn't all good news from Double or Nothing, as PW Insider had an update on wrestlers who were reportedly injured or hurting coming out of last Sunday's show, and Adam Copeland was the one everybody was looking on and asking about following his barbed wire steel cage matchup. There was said to be a rumor going around backstage during Raw behind WWE that Copeland suffered a broken leg during the cage match when he came off the top of the steel cage. While this was a rumor backstage, it was unconfirmed if that's actually what Copeland suffered during the matchup. Within AEW, there was reported concern that the TNT champion suffered some sort of knee injury. However, the nature of his injury was still unknown on Monday. Additionally, while there was concern for Black after the cage match due to his blood loss, he was said to be okay after the bout, but he was banged up and exhausted. And then on Tuesday, the news dropped. Adam Copeland released a video on his X account confirming that he suffered a broken tibia, that it will require surgery. While Copeland doesn't know the time of his recovery yet, mainly wanting to focus on his daughter's birthday later this week, he will know more on his surgery and recovery time starting next week. He said in the video, he said, "My brain forgets what my body always seems to remember a little too late, that I'm 50 years old and I need to make better choices. So my body pulled my emergency brake on me, and the other night ended up fracturing my tibia, which is going to require surgery. Don't know the time frame on that yet. Ruby's birthday is Friday, and I really want to enjoy that and focus on all the positives I have in my life, because there's way more of that than there isn't. And even this surgery, I know what I got to do, and I'll find out the time frame kind of next week and everything." PW Insider reports that the internal reaction in AEW to the news has been universal sadness and sympathy. It was said that Copeland has largely risen into being a great mentor for the company and a sounding board for talent. And among those they've spoken to, they feel that there would be a great void backstage while he's away. Regarding Copeland using the Brood name as his part of his entrance at Double or Nothing, it was said that he owns the trademark and the group's name that he, Gangrel, and Christian Cage were a part of in the WWE back in the late 1990s. But we about it on our review, but it wasn't a big surprise to us following that cage dive where he went feet first, because I was kind of apoplectic on our review talking about what was he fucking thinking. But Josh, what was your reaction to Adam Copeland's injury and him being stripped of the TNT championship on Dynamite?
Not surprising. None of these things was wrong, just because the way he landed, the way he jumped off. It's not a common thing to just, when you jump off the top rope, to just land on your damn feet from the damn top cage. It's not common. And with Copeland's injury history, I mean, it's like it felt like it was bound to happen. No offense to him, just because like he's dealt with so many injuries, so this is just another one he has to deal with. But yeah, it's definitely a significant loss. Just because I thought he was doing great things, like his run in AEW, I thought he was doing great things. He was having great matches, great promos, putting the right people over too. While he was looking strong, like he was doing some great things. So, hopefully, when he comes back, it's kind of goes to the same way. Like he doesn't get lost in the shuffle, whatever the case may be. They use him the way that they want to use him. So hopefully everything works out.
Sat, what did you think about the dive by Adam Copeland? And what have you thought about his run so far in AEW before you give us our thoughts on your reaction to the injury?
What the fuck was he going for? Was he going for a stomp? What the fuck was he going for? That was my thought when I watched it. I was like, is that meant to be a stomp? If that was, that's poor form in terms of how to land. I think that's what the issue was. It's like if he's going for a stomp, usually like from seeing Loki and Sanjay Dutt and Swerve and usually go into the stomp. He kind of like he jumped. It's kind of like he did a flying nothing, and then he was going for a Spike Dudley stomp, which doesn't work at the top of the cage. So it's a move he's never done before. You're in your early 50s. You're doing a move that you never did in your prime. An elbow drop and a splash should have sufficed. I think it's a shame that with all the equity he's built in his run, he's had a great run thus far. He's one of those people where people were lying on him, even like Malachi. I hate when you watch a wrestler wrestle, especially in WWE. He was decent to good or great when he came back. He was not slow or he'd missed a step. He's been great since he's been back into the world of wrestling. But what I hate was like, can Edge really even hoop? Can he really wrestle? Can he keep up in AEW? I was like, have you not been watching what he did in WWE? So for me, I was not shocked that he's done well in AEW. I hate when people do that. Malachi Black, there's another one. The guy doesn't like putting people over, the back injury. Can he even wrestle? He's not the same guy. I'm like, it's been 4 years, granted. He's still that guy. He can still wrestle. I hate discourses on Twitter /X when people lie on people. There's a lot of manipulative people with big accounts here, bullshitting on people. I don't know if he can still go. What the fuck have you been watching? Of course he's still going in the ring. My issue is that he had to give up the title. I would have liked it if he's given a rub to a wrestler to beat him. All of that built equity of being champions gone down the toilet. I hope he gets well. I hope, I get what Tony Khan's doing. He's going for the Sting playbook, but there was a part of me like, man, this guy really squashed Judgment Day and House of Black, the group they was compared to, you know what I'm saying? He had a cage match and he killed two of the leaders in the cage match. He done the same thing. Brood entrance, Brood. Just in case you don't know who I am, Brood. It's a shame because a lot of people thinking, well, we're going to get a Brood trios match against House of Black at Wembley or wherever. We will never know. I hope he gets well. He's done well. He's redeemed his legacy in front of work rate perverts that are trying to lie on him. I don't consider you that because you have some sense where you can also see things objectively, but there's work rate perverts that's like everything's work rate. I'm like, I grew up in an era where work rate was a dessert, not the main course meal. You'll see a great Bret Hart match or Mr. Perfect match, but the rest of the match was slow, sluggish, whatever. So that's why for me, it's like in the era I grew up with, I always remember what wrestling used to be like. So I'm like, you're lucky. Everything's work rate. Adam Copeland did work rate. Now he's injured, okay? He could have just done a live sex celebration, which would be less injuries for him by doing that.
Hey, he was totally fine when he was working with Christian because it was nothing but angles and promo work. It was great.
Exactly.
Stuff. And then they had their two car crash matches, but it didn't require any jumps off of the cage. He should have just went for a splash. Just go for the splash.
No, I think that's what it was. I
think he went up with the idea of going for a splash and then decided at the jump, oh no, I'm gonna do elbow drop instead.
Yeah, I think I don't think he was trying to go for a stomp. I think what happened was like I said before, I think when he got up there, he was like, oh shit, I don't know what to do. Like he hesitated. That's what happened. Like the way he jumped off, it was just like he didn't know what the hell he was doing. I guess maybe there was some part of him that probably thought that he thought he was gonna make it. That's what kind of looked like. He looked like he second guessed himself, and unfortunately, when he jumped off, he just I don't know what he was thinking, trying to land on his damn feet.
Can someone edit? You know the film The Other Guys when Dwayne Johnson and Samuel Jackson jump off the balcony. They should play that song for Edge. Adam Copeland. There goes my hero, running back to
he's like aim for the bushes, but he's like aim for the barbed fire.
Yeah.
They're gonna play that scene from when Marco says like they just jumped off. They jumped 20 stories where they were going, like at the funeral.
Where they go? What were they thinking? But it wasn't the only person banged up coming out of the pay-per-view. Copeland wasn't. There was also reports on Jack Perry, who actually was reportedly fine after the fire spot in the Anarchy in the Arena match. Perry has previously done this stunt. It circulated online and back in March, and the company reportedly took every precaution to make sure the fire spot was done correctly and safely. The spot where Perry was knocked out crashing the bus was to get Perry off camera to be covered in gel for the fire stunt. I thought that this was excellently done by AEW because they had him dumped in the ice cold water, so you did not know the difference between the gel or him being wet from the water when he came out. This fire spot was one of the best done fire spots in history, so I'm not surprised that a bunch of WWE grifters have been online being like, oh my god, I can't believe they did that stunt. I can't believe it. I've never mentioned it when WWE had Kane get his hands stuck on fire or any of the Inferno matches, but I'm going to complain about this. Meanwhile,
MVP was on fire. MVP.
Exactly. Meanwhile, one of Perry's opponents, Darby Allin, was reportedly taken to the hospital after the match in order to be checked out. Allen's suffered a number of cuts to his face from the super kicks with the thumbtacks on the Reebok. Allen was released after being checked out at the medical facility. And lastly, Sats boy, our favorite, Big Willie, Will Ospreay, is said to be fine after that bump he took very early in his matchup when basically Matt Taven got cut. His foot caught up on the rope on the Doomsday device, and Ospreay looked like he landed on the back of his head. He was holding his forehead for a couple of minutes afterwards with that matchup. So glad everybody is okay otherwise from all those list of people besides, Adam Copeland, of course.
Yeah, when I saw that Doomsday spot and then how Ospreay landed, I was like, oh man, like what are we doing, man? Like this is a guy here, when you have conversations with him, tell you all his injuries, all the things he's gonna retire, and then you see him wrestle. All the things he says he's gonna retire, he still does them. Like, I think that's what it is. The buzz of the crowd, I don't blame him. The crowd heavily into him. He's turning into a main character for the company. He's been having great matches. He's transitioned well to the world of Western wrestling, which I knew he would, because we used to do backyard wrestling. All we did was promos and wrestle and promos. So for me, it didn't shock me. I was like, of course, all we did was promo and wrestle. That's what we trained on. We used to take things seriously. Again, I hope that Roderick Strong maintains a consistent presence on television. It seemed like they were kind of distancing Adam Cole away from Undisputed Kingdom, which I think is a terrible idea. Because this is a dream, right? It's like, imagine Roddy gets part of the kingdom back, a little bit of Undisputed Era. That's always been kind of fantasy booked. It's happened, but the execution's been poor because this is one of those times where having too many factions bit them in the butt. Because it was obvious in December they were meant to be the main faction, but they weren't booked like the main faction because they were involved in mid-card feuds, as they say. So because of that, the perception dropped, and then you got the new elite debuting. It pushed them further down, and what doesn't help is Bennett and Taven, they've been still booked like geeks. How they maintain the seriousness of the reveal of them being the guys that attacked everyone, it would have been great, but they just a bit goofy, and the Adam a bit, it's still kind of there. Wardlow, he's got the man bun. It's kind of like Samson. He's trying to get his aura back. He's trying to grow his aura back. That whole hair, that's where his aura comes from. But I just feel like, the promo by MJF, that's the next we're going to get to, right?
Yeah.
By myself now,
Yeah,
Josh.
for sure.
Josh, they haven't asked you the question. So, Josh, what did you think? Josh,
No.
What did you think?
We're just going right to it. A new report has additional details on MJF's return to AEW TV at Double or Nothing. As noted, the former AEW World Champion made his return at Double or Nothing, taking out Adam Cole, cutting a promo in which he said he was back and had remember who he was and that he wasn't leaving. Fightful Select had new details on his return at Double or Nothing and how it came about. The report notes that AEW went all out on keeping MJF's return under the radar, even as many of the roster had expected it to happen. The plan as of last week was for him to fly into Phoenix and be driven from there to Las Vegas, as opposed to having been flown directly into Vegas, as it would have been hard to keep any surprises from becoming public. It was noted that even Hiroshi Tanahashi, who made a surprise appearance on Collision last Saturday, had been seen by fans. MJF was in fact spotted by a fan on the plane to Phoenix, and Fightful said that they'd received a tip of such, though considering the shenanigans around MJF's booking or not booking a plane to no-show Double or Nothing 2022, it wasn't a tip they were interested in. MJF was reportedly brought into the arena backstage under a hood, under a whole blanket in a wheelchair, so no one backstage would see him. Regarding his contract, the report notes that MJF agreed to a new deal at some point after Double or Nothing 2022, though the length of that deal and when it was signed still isn't known. At one point, his contract went from mid-July of 2019 to September 1st of 2022. His new and newer contract put him on a multi-million-dollar a year deal and made him one of the highest paid talents in AEW. It is not clear if that deal was an extension or an entirely new deal as of yet. MJF previously said that he wanted to be paid more based on what other wrestlers coming into AEW were being paid in 2022. And it was noted in the report that sources say the situation was adequately resolved. As previously noted, while MJF was hurt at the end of last year, he did not undergo a shoulder surgery, and that there were plans for an MJF versus Adam Cole match that had to be changed due to Cole's injury. The report says that a potential MJF versus Adam Cole matchup is still a ways off, as sources note Cole is not near to his in-ring return, and the Double or Nothing segment allowed all involved to find a way to blow off the feud and turn until it can happen. According to those in AEW, what they've heard, creative plans for Cole are out of left field and will likely end up working out quite well, and that the original plan was potentially being discussed for Adam Cole to take the AEW World Championship off of MJF. So if we go through the multiverse, we will find a multiverse where Adam Cole never jumps off that ramp at Grand Slam. He wins the AEW World Championship, and then he was the one who would drop the AEW World Championship to Swerve this year. So unfortunately, we live in this world with that injury happen. But Josh, what did you think about MJF's return at Double or Nothing and the blow off of his storyline with Adam Cole for now?
I mean, I was surprised seeing MJF. It's something that I really didn't expect. So it was a nice surprise. The presentation was great. I thought like the video package that they showed before he came out was great. And he looks great too. Like jacked as fuck. Like he's in great shape.
The needle in the arse looked very good, right? How shriveled up is the peen?
Nah, that's not Triple H's 2022.
That's his big brother's jacket.
No. The way he looked was he hasn't ate since he left the company. That's how he looked. He looked like he hasn't ate and he's been in the gym the past 2 months. That's how he looked to me. It doesn't. He actually, he would look a little thicker in the shoulders if he took the needle in the ass.
Yeah, like I know yesterday, I know he made a post about it. Like he showed like his like how he looked before and after. I think he even like promoted like his trainer or the guy like basically that he's been following like when it comes to like the training stuff. So whatever he did worked. Whatever, he looks like he's in great shape. As for like them blowing off like the Adam Cole stuff, I mean, it is what it is. Yeah, obviously because of what happened at World's End, it was a big turnoff for a lot of people. Fortunately, motherfuckers were injured. That's what happened. That's why Undisputed Kingdom, well, he hasn't gone anywhere. When your leader is injured and he's in a wheelchair in a freaking cast, what can you really do with that? There's nobody else that can really carry that within that group. And, you know, unfortunately, injury happened. I'm not saying that it would have been great with Adam Cole there, but that is a big part of why it's flopped at this point. So for them to try to blow it off now, I mean, it is what it is. They could always go back to it. Then that's why I'm like, I don't really see it as a big deal. Because I'm like, yeah, it's eventually going to happen. They don't necessarily need to do it now because Cole is not close to coming back. He's cleared. Like, his ankle is great. But, again, to take all that training, to take all those bumps, it takes a long time to come back. So that's why he ain't going to be back anytime soon. But I was fine with it. I thought that was like the best way you could do it at the moment. And, you know, seeing MJF kind of just feels like the shot in the arm that they need, that they really need. So I'm all for it.
Yeah. I would have had him on Dynamite this week. That's my only nitpick so far.
Yeah. Maybe there's a reason why. Yeah, there could be a reason why. Maybe he just didn't travel. That could be part of it. But yeah, I would have liked him on Dynamite. But I think MJF too, I think they're probably gonna promote him like, oh, he's like, you know, MJF's gonna do a segment, whatever the case may be. I think they're gonna promote that. So just to get that.
Yeah, they've already promoted him for next week's Dynamite, and this week's Dynamite did a good rating. So hopefully, MJF's return next week can do well as well.
He got Wolverine here.
Sat, what did you think about the MJF return?
Before I get on the MJF return, man. So Adam Cole shattered his ankle just jumping off, you know, a staging. Darby Allin broke his foot, got hit by a bus. Which of the two did Anarchy in Arena? Do you know what I'm saying? Do you know what I'm saying? My guy got so many injuries, yet he's in the wrestling match while Adam Cole just jumped off a barrier, landed awkwardly, but that awkward landing did more damage to him than allegedly what Darby Allin's been through, the last broken nose as well. And, you know, yeah, I just wanted to point that part out.
But I want to point something else out. You had Bryan Danielson. He went through Anarchy in the Arena and gets a concussion, and he's out 2 months in 2022. A month later, Adam Cole gets a concussion off of Uranagi where his head hits the mat wrong, out for nearly a year. So this is the Adam Cole MO, it seems, that regular injuries for other people, he's out much longer for it. I don't know if it's a thing, a message about his body or not.
Nutrition. Yeah, maybe this new listen, I like Adam Cole. I can't believe I'm going to say this. Maybe less video games, more working nutrition to get your body where it needs to be because your body's screaming. It needs more calcium and probably some and maybe some fish oil to get your brain on point. I don't know. Okay, so the MJF return. That's not his house. That must be a rented house. How you have one specific room with hardly anything in there? So when he went to his suit, I was like, what's that, serial killer bedroom? I was like, you know what I'm saying? It had a few, it's like someone went on eBay, let's put all these great moments there. That was not his room. That was a rented room. That was not Cribs. That's someone else's room. Because if that was, I'm a bit concerned about it. Sid, that's a bit concerning when you got your lone suit and hardly anything in there, a little bit boxy, a little bit dingy. I'm like, where's someone locked up in the basement? Anyway, so the return, it was everything that I like and don't like about MJF. Number one, the reference to Triple H. Why do you need to reference Triple H? Had he just wore a leather jacket without the jean part, great. You know, he's come back because he wants to look like a badass, right? You come back with a leather jacket, but then you wear that part and you're like, yeah, but now you look like you're wearing your big brother's jacket because you're not as jacked as him. So it looks a bit off. And he's tan. It looks like, you know, he did some chimney sweeping. He got dragged out of the chimney sweep to come out to the arena. So he needs to work on his tanning because he's a little bit too cooked to the point where I'm like, well, you looking Tamil or you South Indian? You trying to look South Asian?
He's always been shit, to be fair.
His own tanning's always been crap. Yeah.
Right. I got to interview Matt Cardona yesterday, and he always says, he was like, yeah, I always try to give MJF tips on his tanning because he doesn't do it the proper way. He was like, "This is how I do it."
Yeah, take tips from Cardona, please, because his looked off, and his hair. People have been debating that he had, hair transplant because he used to have a widow's peak. That all of a sudden it's gone. All of a sudden he got a perfect square. Now when the barber cuts his hair, he's not nervous anymore. He knows I got a straight line to follow. Not the W.
Yo, he went to Harlem. He went to Harlem instead of Long Island. It's all right.
Nah, he went to Turkey because
He's been using
Turkey.
keeps.
Nah, he went to Turkey. He got a Turkish, he got a Turkish hair transplant. That's what happened. He got a hair transplant.
Nah, he called up Steve Harvey. That's all he did. He just called up Steve Harvey.
He may not be as big as Randy Orton or AJ Styles, but listen, it's great to have him back. He name dropped, a sex offender. He fetishized the other company, New Japan. It's typical MJF stuff. But AEW needed him because he makes AEW feel like AEW. When you see MJF, it gives you that AEW feeling. Because like he said in his promo, he's one of the only guys to be made by AEW, like Darby Allin. When you see Darby Allin, you see MJF, you see Jack Perry, alongside the Bucks and Kenny Omega and Hangman Page, they make you feel like it's AEW. Wardlow. So when you see him, you're like, the feeling has been restored, which was the slogan last year. Now this is about aura. So it's good to have him back. It sucks that Roosh is going to put him over because that's what Roosh is there to do. Hey, Roosh, we haven't seen you in a while. Weren't you babyface? Did you not tease you're going to have a female member in your group? Forget that shit. Put that guy over and go back in the basement where you belong. But
he hasn't been babyface since he came back. He has not been babyface. They
kind of alluded to it. Was it? They were kind of feuding with House of Black, wasn't it? Am I wrong?
That was before. That was before he left. Since he's been
How many times has he left? He's in and out.
That was last year. That was last year. Then the beginning of this year, after the Continental Classic, he left. He went to Mexico for a few months, and now ever since he's been back, he's been the Roosh that we know and love of murdering people. And you said, "Oh, I feel bad for Roosh." No, I feel bad for MJF that he has to fight Roosh after coming back from multiple.
Oh no,
injuries.
I love this. No, I love this. I love this. Listen, I love when Roosh murders people. Listen, it's one of my favorite things. But also the booking of Roosh. Yeah, you can't say, "Oh, Roosh wants to be in WWE with his wife. That's why we're not booking him properly." Nope. Roosh turns up to work. Do something with Roosh. Give him a title. Or no, okay, don't give him a title. Give him a consistent presence on TV. That's what everyone deserves. Make him a main guy, one of the main guys in Collision. Because that's what worked in the beginning. You knew when you're tuning into Collision, I might see these guys wrestle. If I go to Dynamite, I might see these guys wrestle. When I turn on Dynamite, besides the few announced people on social media, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to watch. I don't know what surprise you're going to give me. But yeah, MJF is back. All is right in the world. He's still corny as usual. But yeah, he's great. It's great to have him back. He's a cornball. He's too online. His promo. He's this. You bought the fucking mask. The storyline, I'm sorry, most main eventers in AEW have creative control in the contract. You booked yourself in this shit storyline. You can't blame Tony Khan. You can't blame Vince Russo. You're going to blame the man in the mirror. You booked yourself in this stuff. You booked yourself for sports entertainment. You gave yourself that goofy mask. So stop saying, this mask represents... Yeah, dude, he's too online. That's what I don't like. The dude's too online, and it shows. And he got insecure. You can tell that it was building up. He's at home with injuries. He's on X. Oh, you ruined AEW. AEW. That's what he's reading. So he come back. The first thing he wants to do is a State of Union address about his run.
He left, and 100,000 viewers did as well. So we were proven right. The MJF supporters were proven right, and not the haters like Zach.
Listen, I'll hate. Listen. I only support someone if I know he's not comfortably at home using the N-word. You know what I'm saying? I'll support someone if he ain't comfortably got wonky ideas. Jesus. I'm not gonna ruin your. Yes.
Rumors. I'm not gonna start rumors here.
Rumors,
sir.
yeah, whatever. You can tell. You can tell. Listen. I'm okay. I'm gonna stop. In the words of your uncle-in-law, I'm going to stop. But yeah, listen, he's great for wrestling, whatever. Hey, that's not my guy. That's not my guy. I'm not.
Obviously.
No. He wants to be Piper. If he wants to be Roddy Piper, he should be prepared to get stabbed because Piper got stabbed. He's not about that life.
Guys, no, get out and stop. The Wrestling Observer newsletter reports that TV buys for AEW's Double or Nothing pay-per-view were up from Dynasty back in April which itself was lower than usual. The show was up 9.5% from Dynasty. The streaming numbers were also from Dynasty. The early 3,000 buys, which is lower than last year's event. Double or Nothing was still down 35.5% from Revolution, which had huge numbers due to Sting's retirement. Dynasty ended up being down 45% from Revolution, although that had a lot to do with the late buys for Sting's retirement, and Dynasty was down 30% in streaming from Revolution. Of those who bought Double or Nothing, 57% bought Dynasty, 1.3 bought the Canelo fight, and 0.8 bought TNA Rebellion. The pay-per-view had an attendance of 9,000 fans with 7,500 paid. The gate was said to be around 800,000 for the gate for AEW Double or Nothing, and it was the 11th most search item on Sunday on Google. So pretty good numbers for Double or Nothing, up from Dynasty, which was a newer show, so that had a lot to do with it. But it led in nicely to AEW Dynamite this week, which the show was up in viewership, not having any competition from the NBA playoffs. It did 787,000 viewers and a 0.25 in the 18 to 49 demo, and it featured an absolutely incredible Forbidden Door Casino Gauntlet main event that featured Jay White and Pac. Also had CMLL talent like Mystico and Hechicero, Claudio Castagnoli swinging fools outrageously throughout the matchup. Also had surprise appearances from NJPW's Shoto Aminu and the returning Leo Rush, but it was won by none other than Will Ospreay, who pinned Orange Cassidy to set up a dream match that no one expected to be the main event of Forbidden Door, as Ospreay will go one-on-one with Strickland for the AEW World title at Forbidden Door on June 30th. Earlier in the show, Swerve beat Killswitch in a good matchup. Post-match, Strickland cut off the hair of Killswitch in a measure of revenge from him pulling out his dread a couple of weeks back. You also had Mercedes Moné's TBS Championship celebration was interrupted by Sky Blue, who revealed she was the one who attacked Moné backstage weeks ago. This led to Mercedes defeating Sky Blue to retain the TBS Championship in her first defense. Post-match, NJPW Strong Women's Champion Stephanie Becker came out on stage to seemingly challenge Moné for Forbidden Door. Meanwhile, the Elite celebrated their Anarchy in the Arena win with the Young Bucks gifting Kashika Okada a new Lambo, then trying to hand Jack Perry the vacant AEW TNT Championship after they stripped Copeland of the title. However, Christopher Daniels was named interim executive vice president and announced that there will be a ladder match to determine the new champion at Forbidden Door. Chris Jericho hosted the first edition of TV Time with the Learning Tree, where he welcomed Brian Keith into his group, but Hook came out to interrupt and laid out security, only for Samoa Joe to come down and whisper to Hook to convince him to join up with the former AEW World Champion. John Moxley picked up another win in an IWGP World Heavyweight Title Eliminator matchup, this time against Rocky Romero. Meanwhile, you had Don Callis try to offer Orange Cassidy a contract for the family, only for OC to rip up the contract very slowly. But that led to Chris Statlander and Stokely Hathaway revealing that Trent Beretta has accepted the offer instead. Trent laid out Orange, busting him open and hugging Callis over the broken body of Cassidy. And that led to later in the night, Chris Statlander and Stokely Hathaway cutting a great promo explaining that Sat is sick of being everybody's protector like she was for Willow. That Willow caused her turn when she won the #1 contendership for the TBS Championship in the Fatal 4-Way back in March, which Chris Statlander really wanted to win to get back her gold. And now everyone needs protection from Stat. Talking about Stat, what did you think about their promo? What did you think about AEW Dynamite this week?
LOL, Fallon Henley turned heel for the same exact reason. She was tired of protecting people too. I just want to point that part out. That part made me laugh.
She was tired of being everybody's friend.
It's kind of similar because that's what happens.
And Chris Statlander improved her status by turning heel. Fallon Henley did like this. It was like an EGG chart when someone's dead. It was a flat line.
Fallon Henley should not have turned heel in the first place. A natural baby face. I'm with you. I don't get why she turned heel.
I agree.
That burden should not be on Kalani Jordan to be everyone's, big sister. That was Fallon Henley's role. Anyway, I digress. That promo was funny. Stokely saying that he was talking about the men's division, not even the women's division. No, don't make me start on them. Statlander did a good promo. We saw traces of what Statlander could be during her feud against what's her face? Layla Hirsch, which you talked about. You were adopted. That promo?
Yes, I forgot that one. Yes.
Exactly. So before Christian Cage, before Candice LeRae, it was Statlander that was dropping bombs about people's familial status randomly on television. So that's when I knew that Chris Statlander had a heel run just lurking in the background for her. So for me, I'm happy because she has all the ingredients to be a star. I didn't mind her alien gimmick like some people did. I didn't mind it. I just feel like if you fine tune it, you can make it work. If as a baby face or as a heel, you can make it work. Because I like when you're trying to be different outside the box, not generic brooding woman number 5 or 6. I like if you got a defining personality. I'm always eager to support someone that you can. When you do like describe this guy, describe this wrestler in a sentence or a paragraph. You're not struggling. He's angry against the no. So I was fine with the alien character. Then she lost it. Then she had the injuries. Her recent run has been the longest she's had without shattering her kneecaps. So fingers crossed that nothing derails that. She's one of those wrestlers where momentum starts for her and then something stupid happens. So I hope that her knees do not give out on her during this feud, because this is a pivotal moment for her to become. She should be TBS champion again because she's been TBS champion already. But it's one of those situations when you're like, should she reclaim a title?
I think she's in position to get a big feud with Mercedes Moné right now. So
she is.
This is a big opportunity for her.
Yes, to wrap up my spiel, I feel like it is what it needed to be. I wish it was done in the ring because it's a bit clunky. Because usually, in wrestling psychology terms, the first time you see a wrestler, it should be a big moment. They sacrificed her big moment for a Trent segment and Orange Cassidy, which is kind of weird. They should have done that promo first, then have her come out. If that makes sense. Because she came out.
I think they did it in the right order, because the lasting impact on Statlander on the show is you remember the promo, because that was the last thing. They needed to close the loop on her story with the best friends, because she's been so intricately involved with separating Trent and Orange throughout the feud. So for her to just close the book on that, you just needed her to come out. And the fact that Stokely Hathaway quoted Kendrick Lamar, I was okay.
Yes, I hate the way you move away. I hate the way you talk. I was like, leave Willow alone. Dynamite overall. The main match I watched was the the Casino Battle Royal Gauntlet match. I heard great things about it.
Casino Gauntlet.
Casino Gauntlet. Oh, whatever. They have that. How many
gauntlets they have? You just add in words. You add in words. Casino Gauntlet.
Casino, Forbidden Door, Gauntlet, Double or Nothing, See You All In, Gauntlet match. The format was very Royal Rumble-esque. It was kind of like the whole thing where I would love a battle royal where you just pin a wrestler, and I like the sudden death aspect of it, because apparently Roddy Strong was meant to come out and he didn't. Allegedly.
Yo, I love that on Rampage that Roddy was like, I was the 10th guy. Like, what?
Right, that was fantastic. Mwah. Chef's kiss. I feel like that was incredible. The I'm gonna laugh. Don Callis. Let's talk about Don Callis for a moment. All right. Are we meant to expect the guy that assumed Chris Jericho would turn him down to join his family? You know what I'm saying? Said, I'm getting with this. We're meant to believe that in his big thumb of a head with that scar lurking, that his cut penis looking head thought that OC was joining his group. We knew there was gonna be Trent. That when they started the whole bullshit, I was like, Trent's joining the group. Trent's joining the group, and the fact that my best friend accept, that means did you offer OC the spot and Trent? Do you know what I'm saying? What if OC said yes? Then what? Do you know? There's stuff that I think.
I think that's what Callis got wanted. He wanted OC to accept, but then Statlander kind of swooped in. I mean, if I was Don Callis, I would have been like, I don't want Trent. You've lost twice to Orange Cassidy. I don't want you. You're a loser. Like, why
best
would
friend
I want
accepts.
you in the family?
My best friend accepts, and it's like, what? Anyway, yeah, it's Trent Beretta. Man, this whole turn came 3 years too late. That's all I can say. Had it been in the early days of AEW, it wouldn't have been as effective because you needed the years of best friends being together for it to be emotional. But there's so many more compelling wrestlers. I thought the moment he came back with that bus cut, it screamed heel. The fact that he wasn't accepting of Utah screamed heel. The fact that he looked so surly and angry all the time. It's kind of when Moxley came back with the short cut and looking jacked. We knew what was going to happen, and it did it within that same year. With Trent, it took like nearly 2 years. Great that your neck has been injured in that 2 years, but unfortunately, the roster. I'm sorry, my friend. Good luck learning the theme song of Boom. That's just the best it's gonna get for him.
All I know is that Don Callis gets genuine heel heat, man. He still gets the reaction that Dominic used to get. Dominic don't even get that reaction anymore. Like that heat that he got to start off, but when he comes out, he doesn't get like the massive boos anymore. So like I like that era of Dom. But before
I pass the baton to Josh, I got a question for Sid. Where do you see Trent? Like, did this turn happen because Chuck needs to take a break? Why are we doing this now? I need to know, what are we doing with Trent Beretta? Where are we going with Trent Beretta? Because I don't want to be negative. Because I was one of the few people that actually liked Best Friends, that actually saw the value of Best Friends, that wanted a trios title reign from Best Friends before all this happened, which is a shame it never happened. It was right there. What do you do with Trent Beretta? Do you give him a singles title victory eventually, or is he eating pins?
He is the job. Yeah, he's the job guy for Don Callis family. So Kyle Fletcher doesn't have to be the job guy anymore. But they actually see something in Kyle Fletcher. They don't see anything in Trent Beretta, or he would have won one of those goddamn matches against Orange.
Do you see anything in Trent Beretta? As a guy that I've watched him for years.
He's a solid hand. I don't see him as a star or a guy that you should put a title on. No, not with this roster.
Can I say something? Trent Beretta is an example of, as you get older, you get more depressed. Because I feel like in WWE, probably the Dude Busters, he had charisma, he had AJ, maybe losing AJ, maybe losing the Dude Busters made him depressed. But if you watch early Trent and now Trent's like night and day. Guy had cheeky sense of humor. Whatever happened to that guy? Just angry and surly all the time. Very one-dimensional.
Unfortunate. It's rather unfortunate. Josh, any thoughts on the Casino Gauntlet number 2? I thought it was absolutely awesome. And the fact that they just put all the best workers in this matchup just made it even better than the first time.
Yeah, I thought it was great. It was a great match. I liked the surprises that they had. It was cool seeing Leo Rush. I didn't really expect them to see Leo Rush in the match, so that was pretty cool to see. Ospreay winning, yeah, I was shocked, but then I'm like, hey, this is the best way you could put butts in the seats at Long Island. So I understood the move, right? Because it's like, I told everybody, this gives some suspense, right? Because if Jay White would have won, you already know Jay White's not winning, unfortunately. If you put somebody else, they're not winning. You put Will Ospreay, it's a possible chance, right? And I think that's what I like about it. I know a lot of people are turned off about it because they expected Will to be a Wembley. Again, that was just a lot of fan talk more so. It was never like a legit plan of like, all right, Will's gonna main event Wembley and he's gonna go for the title. It was just stuff that was being said. It was
then what you do next year? Then what you do next? What's the hook? That's like blowing your load so quick. All right, Ospreay wins the title Wembley. Then what? Yeah. For him to
then what?
Then what?
Right? So yeah. So like when it comes to that, I mean, and then also I think Will he's in a situation where I think Will himself will like tell fans, "Hey guys, calm down. Everything's gonna work out." Like I think he's on board with everything. He doesn't, like I think when it comes to that, I think he has a better understanding when it comes to stuff like that. So I was like, "Hey, if you book for another year, by all means, it's only gonna help Will because he's already established top guy there, and you already see the trend. That's going over there. So
I can honestly tell you guys, that's not the people's idea of Wembley. He did not want that. I'm just letting you know, he did not want that. He himself said, "What do we do next year?" That's why when I was hinting at, the trajectory is the internet. He wants the international championship.
You told me him winning the international title like 6 months before it happened. You told me this.
Yes.
So when he wins that first casino gauntlet, I'm like, oh, that's right.
Yeah, because I don't like to privy conversation because we don't often talk about wrestling stuff. The whole point of hanging out is about life stuff. But from in his mind, you want people to be hooked every year. If he wins the title this year, hold the title to the next All In, then people be crying for he's been champion for a whole year, he's beaten everyone, and then what's the hook? In his mind, he said, ideally, I want to be international championship. It wasn't set in stone. He said, ideally, that's the belt I want. Then I can defend that at Wembley the next year. Who knows? I'm not saying for definite he's gonna win the title next year. It's just like at least by being in the company the next year, he's been there for a whole year. Fans will be, because there'll be some subsection that'll be like, it's too quick, it's too early to give him the title. It's kind of like he's bypassed a lot of wrestlers that could be champion. So at least give him a year of building up that equity. Then next year, he's gonna win the title. You're more emotionally invested in this year. Trust me, in a year's time, if it does happen, it would be great. But this year, I'm like, hey, maybe you can face Pac. I'm throwing that out there because Pac wasn't there last year. So to see Pac and Ospreay all in Wembley for the international title, a belt that the lineage is kind of connected to the original belt Pac had, that's what I want to see. But for this match, you guys know AEW law just as much as I do, but probably better. Can a main event of a title match, is there a time limit or there's no time limit?
No, it's always a 60-minute time limit on AEW world title matches. And I actually didn't think about that. And I think that is probably the move. But let's talk a little bit more about the casino gauntlet that happened on Dynamite. Fightful Select had some additional details. Fightful reports that the match was outlined and coached by Tony Khan, QT Marshall, Colt Cabana, and Serpentico. Also said to have provided assistance. The first match was conceived by Tony Khan in Jacksonville, and AEW staff were reportedly very happy with how the match has been received so far. Former AEW star Leo Rush also made an appearance on Wednesday night's episode as number 7 in the Casino Gauntlet. Fightful reports that Rush's appearance was planned out as far back as a week ago, and the newly crowned AEW International Champion, like we said before, Will Ospreay, won the match, earning a title shot against AEW World Champion Swerve Strickland at next month's Forbidden Door. The event is scheduled for Sunday, June 30th at the UBS Arena in Elmont, New York, and it will be broadcast on pay-per-view, so it should be a hell of a matchup between those two guys coming up on June 30th. We asked the question on AE Ramble on Thursday, and I'll ask the question to you, Sat. In your eyes, is it too soon to do Will Ospreay versus Swerve Strickland, or do you think the time is right? I made the case that I think the time is right. So did Jimmy Macaram, because a number of reasons. One, if you're not going to do the match at Wembley, it's best to do the match before Wembley so people are not asking for about it. Two, if you want Swerve to win this matchup, it's best to not do it in London because you're going to turn him heel if he beats Will Ospreay in London, England. And three, like I said, it just felt like too soon to do Will winning the world championship in Wembley Stadium. That even if they were going to do the matchup, I thought Swerve should win to set up next year for Will to win the world title at Wembley Stadium.
Bingo. You nailed everything.
What do you think, Sat?
And I also think another aspect of this match as well is if they don't go with the 60-minute route and they go with Swerve beating him, it kind of relaxes what the booking could be for Will Ospreay, because at the moment he's operating on a winning streak. By him losing, it kind of takes that away. It's kind of like, okay, he can lose a match, if that makes sense. And if he's going to lose a match, it makes sense for the world champion to beat him. I feel like with the way they've been booking him, he's been undefeated, international champion. I feel like it's to make him a bit human. It's kind of like his matches are not going to be predictable. He could lose at any moment. I feel like this is a great, like you said as well, it also stops people from clamoring for this match. Because when you think of a wider, variety, because let's just say, for example, that Keith Lee's healthy enough to come back at the end of this match and attack Swerve. Maybe, that might be great, Could you see a heels Keith Lee? I don't know. A Keith Lee in the Callis family? I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. Hangman Page could come back, Maybe we see Hangman Page and Swerve. Even though how many times can Hangman Page lose to one guy? Because it feels like Hangman Page is due that big victory against Swerve, right? So I don't know if it's gonna happen at Wembley. It could be happening at Wembley. I'll be all for it because a part of me still feel like there's two aces of that company. The names are John Moxley and Hangman Page. They for me are the aces of AEW. They're the guys when they're in the main storyline, it feels right. It kind of feels like, oh, this is AEW that I love. And also these guys are connected tissues to the history of AEW and so many different things. But to answer your question, no, it's not too early. It's on cue. It's on time. Get it out of the way. Get it out of the way. And then we can focus on what we're going to do all in.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you on board there. We got Smart Psychology podcast who says, was there live for this Dynamite and our feelings was mixed on Ospreay winning. I mean, I can understand in the moment. Like I said, my jaw was on the floor when Ospreay wins the casino.
With Oscutter as well.
But I think that if you have mixed feelings when it happened, I think that you need to kind of like understand the foresight and the thought process behind it. And I think it will make more sense and you won't have mixed feelings and you'll be like, just the one question that I had for everybody. Who was the option? like no one has been able to answer that. Who's a better option that is going to draw as much people in the main event against Swerve Strickland than Will Ospreay? Was it Jay White? No, it wasn't. And I love Jay White. I'm the biggest Jay White fan. It wasn't Jay White because they kind of ruined that last year. It wasn't anyone from New Japan because New Japan has not built up anyone from New Japan to be in that spot.
Suchi.
A number of reasons.
Could be Yota, Suji. It could have been Shingo. If we wanted to spitball ideas, but I know what you mean. You're right. If you watch the current climate, they're not as hot as they used to be. They're a bit, lukewarm. You're right. But in terms of
MJF wasn't there. And MJF doesn't have any type of connection to New Japan Pro Wrestling where it's acceptable that he is the person from AEW to be in that spot. It's too soon because MJF just came back at Double Nothing. And MJF, more than likely, because Will is getting the shot here, he's the guy that's getting the shot at All In. It's either him or Hangman to me. That's the big matchup to do. If you are doing Will now, it's Swerve versus either MJF or returning him.
Oh, so do you think if Cole is not better by this All In, then they're gonna go with MJF and Swerve, and then Cole screws MJF in that match at Wembley?
To do that. If Cole's ready, yeah, I would say do that because that sets up. Then they just have a 2-week build to blow off the MJF and Cole for All Out. Yeah, and then my thinking was have Swerve beat MJF at All In, and then a return Hangman comes out, and you set up Hangman and Swerve for All Out.
They could still do that, They could still do a little bit of overbooking thing where you're trying to it's on that show, book for the next show, like Adam Cole and MJ for fighting each other. Swerve's like, what's going on there? And then and then how bushy is the beard gonna be? That's what I want to know because he got time off. So how bushy is that beard here? Is this Barry Windham level?
Barry Windham S coming up. It's
right?
coming up. It's gonna be epic. But we had news about AEW and their deal with WBD this week. Just to answer this one, RP Jesus, I love Shingo Takagi. American fans don't know him. I'm just letting you know. I love Shingo Takagi. I'm the biggest Shingo Takagi fan. That was my pick to first Swerve at Forbidden Door, but Ospreay versus Swerve is a bigger draw than Shingo versus Swerve.
I'm a bit shocked because isn't he an ROH legend as well? You'd think that Tony Khan would like this guy. Dragon Gate, ROH. You had those early guys in the early shows, but you're like Shingo. I'm like, don't know her. Shingo's not wearing the straps. I get it, but it's still Shingo. It's kind of like, seems like Tony Khan has specific guys that he likes who bring over and over again. Shingo could have done this match. The disrespect that Shingo's getting, the guy here that carried Pandemic Wrestling, the guy that carried.
But he's also currently the never openweight champion. So that doesn't work with New Japan.
That doesn't work for me, brother.
And even if he's not the never openweight champion by Forbidden Door, which he might lose at Dominion, but still, they're not going to have him lose a title and then go for a world title in another company.
What? Justice for Shingo, man. This guy is putting in great numbers. They did a shit storyline where he says too old. I'm like, dude, you're like 39. This guy is older than you. You're like same age as Bryan Danielson. Or or wherever it is. The guy. Anyway, that's a different podcast, a different conversation. Justice for Shingo Takagi.
I agree.
The dragon.
Matthew Baloney with Puck News had an update on the exclusive negotiating window between AEW and WBD this week, talking about Tony Khan recently stated that AEW is still in active negotiations with Warner Brothers Discovery, and they're still in their exclusive negotiating period. According to Baloney's report, the exclusive negotiating window for AEW and WBD ends in July. Additionally, Tony Khan was reportedly not happy with the offer that's on the table from Warner Brothers Discovery, and he's also aware that WBD losing the NBA media rights, TV rights, would give AEW more leverage in negotiations. Once the window closes, other media companies will be able to bid for AEW's broadcast rights. Baloney also noted that both sides are playing nice for now during their active negotiations. Khan said during the post-media scrum at Double or Nothing, "I'm happy working with Mr. David Zaslav, and I'm hoping we can do it for a long time." In the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer indicated that the number AEW was offered by WBD didn't sound disappointing to him. He said, "The only real notes I can say is that from the AEW side, they claim they were not disappointed in the offer on the table at all, but obviously haven't signed it either. The whole argument over the word disappointed is a semantic term, and you could say disappointed inherently because they haven't signed, or you could say not disappointed because the first offer was a good starting point for negotiations. But you still haven't signed, so it's just really a word. Based on the number range we've heard, it was a number I wouldn't call disappointing at all. But obviously the figure they are at is less than, and they are wanting because no deal has been signed as of yet." We will have more, of course, with this AEW and WBD negotiations coming up in the weeks to come, so we'll keep you updated on that. But finally, from AEW, you had Rampage last night. The show featured Konosuke Takeshita moving on to qualify in the AEW TNT ladder match coming up at Forbidden Door as he defeated Penta El Zero Miedo in a hard-hitting opener. You also had Timeless Tony Storm picking up a win against Viva Van, the AEW World Championship Eliminator matchup. CMLL's Hechicero joined up with the Cage of Agony, while Chris Jericho announced that he is stepping down from the Rampage commentary team to focus on more TV time on Dynamite or Collision, up to 2 to 3 to 4 segments per week. And Rey Fenix defeated Isaiah Cassidy in a fun main event matchup. So good episode of Rampage last night, but not all good news from AEW, as we have a couple of originals who are leaving the company this week. You had this week a new report from Jake about Jake Hager finishing up with AEW. Bodyslam.net's Cassidy Haynes reports that Hager's contract recently expired and he did not re-sign with the company. The report cites sources as saying that the decision is believed to have been made a mutual one and that Hager is now a free agent. Hager most recently competed in AEW back on February 23rd in a matchup on Rampage against Roger Strong. During his time in AEW, he was a part of the Chris Jericho factions, Inner Circle, and Jericho Appreciation Society, And Hager, who has been announced for the Battleground Championship Wrestling on July 6th, has not yet commented on the report. Meanwhile, Mark Henry was rumored to be leaving AEW, and he confirmed this news on Busted Open Radio. Henry commented on his status with the company, confirming that he is leaving to work on other projects. And the other original who is leaving the company is none other than AA Arn Anderson. Glock Anderson may show up to be in support of his boy, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, soon, as he announced during the latest edition of the Arn Show. He will be leaving All Elite Wrestling when his contract expires, and Arn plans to focus on helping his son, Brock Anderson, in his wrestling career. What do you think about the news of these guys leaving, Jake Hager, Mark Henry, and Arn Anderson from AEW, Josh?
I mean, Jake hasn't really been doing anything with AEW the last several months. So, I mean, you know, not too hard on that. Mark Henry, I'm not surprised with. I think low key, I think he was already out the door. So not really surprising. Arn Anderson, to be honest with you, I didn't really know he was still with the company because I just haven't seen him. So yeah, that's how I'm taking those departures.
My reaction is a bit different. Jake Hager, go to New Japan. Because you always see wrestling fans clamoring for hosses like Sheamus should go to who do the G1. Put Hager there. Hager, wrestle, be motivated and wrestle. I feel like a guy like Jake Hager would benefit from going to like New Japan or go to Japan. If he goes back to WWE, he'll just be a jobber to the stars, just more bodies. He'll just do what Carlito's currently doing, just put young guys over, and we don't really care. Yeah, he's got a banger theme song, but yeah. We the people, we the gaijin, just go to Japan, just wrestle there, or hang out with Minoru Suzuki and go wrestle Noah, or go to DDT. He can do exciting things. Just go everywhere but American wrestling because you're dead in the water there. Arn Anderson gave the same excuse that William Regal gave. I'm going to look after my son's career in NXT. Arn Anderson, it boggles my mind. Yeah, he was a Cody hire. A lot of people saying the Cody hires, and Hager's more of a Jericho favor. Arn Anderson had equity in AEW because he was a coach, because that's what they called him. He was an AEW coach. Yeah, we may not have seen him, but his presence was felt in matches. I felt like he could have been an AEW authority figure. He could have easily taken over Nana's crew, the Cage of Agony. They need a central mouthpiece manager. I guess it can be Maria. Make someone useful, because those groups by themselves, no offense, maybe Khan's got a brain cell, but they need someone to lead them to places. No offense. I'm excited because the fact that he's saying that he wants to put all his energy to get his son the level he needs to be. We may see a different Brock Anderson. Number one, Brock Anderson, stop cosplaying as your dad, work out. Because it's not the 80s. You need to work out. Looking like a lima bean, that's not gonna work it out. Fill out, go to the gym, work on your promos, and then maybe you could be a hooper in WWE NXT because he's burnt his bridges at AEW because he was just nondescript guy there. The next guy is Mark Henry. There's another guy that I'm not shocked. If you hear the stories, Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, Samantha Irvin, all were discovered by Mark Henry. So this guy is like a modern day Gerald Briscoe where he's got eye for talent. That's someone you should keep within your company because he does a great job of going out and see random people. Braun Strowman is another guy they discovered. He would randomly find people like, you should go do wrestling. So because people are saying, oh, what did he add to AEW? The guy's got a great eye for talent. He said it when he initially came into AEW. He wanted an office job, which I guess they didn't give him. He was just standing around saying there's time for the main event, which got over, and eventually that dropped. So I can see people saying that, oh, he's a waste of money, but I feel like that guy discovered a lot of talent. WWE should, get him back as a NXT something, or as a talent scout, because he did a great job with the people that we're seeing currently on WWE TV, on the microphone and in the ring.
But it sounds like from the people that you just named that he has discovered, he's better used in WWE because those type of people need grooming. They need to be trained. They need to That's not what they're gonna do in AEW. The AEW is if he had an eye for like the independent scene and getting talent from there that are ready made to be on TV, then he's more, valuable to AEW. I feel like, yeah, he's a great scout, but it's not what the talent he scouts is not the talent that AEW is looking for. That's why he's better used in WWE.
A volley back to you, sir. Don't you think it's time that AEW has some sort of developmental program for their wrestlers? Imagine Anna Jay doing a tour in Stardom, night and day, right? She'd be a hooper in the ring, because Mariah May, contrary to popular belief, before she went Stardom, she was dog crap in the ring. Like, she wrestled like a diva, because she grew up in the Divas era, so can't fault her. But going to Stardom, night and day, she became a hooper in the ring. I feel like Anna Jay's on the cusp. She needs that Stardom run. Wrestlers that like Shorty Lee Johnson have a run in Stardom. There's so many wrestlers that
Shorty Lee Johnson can't go to Stardom. You were cooking today. You put some slime on the oven.
I put sugar instead of salt. What am I doing, sir? I meant New Japan. I mean, if they're having relations with New Japan, CMLL, they should start doing a young lions program for wrestlers they see a future in, but they know they're not ready yet for the kind of opportunities they want to give them. I think they need to, like Christopher Daniels. Apparently, this is your job. Do a better job of it. Let's be honest. That's his job. Sounds like a great title, but what are you doing in order to prepare for the future? JR's there. That's another thing. They had guys there, Paul White's there, and all that kind of stuff. JR's there. Want to get JR, Mark Henry to help out? Okay, Mark Henry's not going. JR can help out Christopher Daniels. They need to start a developmental program. I think that's the next thing. WCW had, the power plant. Either QT Marshall, use the fucking nightmare. You use their fucking dojo, or create their own dojo. Just do something. I feel like that's where the discrepancy is.
And they have done that. They have done that. That's where they got Lee Johnson. That's where they got Anna Jay.
If not official, it's not official.
No, but they have worked it out where they have gotten talent from the different areas. That's what I want to say.
This is like USWA. This is like we're taking guys. This is before WWE's like they're honing in and having their own development. This is like USWA is great, or Puerto Rico is great. A little bit of Japan. Michinoku Pro. It's just like great. You're picking up bits and pieces. Just have your own. They need a program. That's what I'm saying.
But talking about where they should be training people, ROH TV this week. The show featured Athena, made her return in a win over Viva Ban. You also had the Undisputed Kingdom. They beat Jacoby Watts and Nick Camarado in a proving ground matchup. Meanwhile, you had Top Flight. They picked up the win in the main event. That closes the loop on the Converse this week. We spent a lot of time on AEW and ROH. Not really ROH, but AEW this week was coming off of a pay-per-view. They had a lot going on throughout the week with news coming up. But let's talk real quick about WWE. We're going to go into WWE in a bit. I do want to highlight a couple of comments that we got in the comment section here. We got Frantic World, who says my point. Yeah, they should be using ROH for that. We also have RP Jesus, who says, let's be real, NJPW could benefit from Gaijins doing excursions there because their roster is old and stale. We also got Big Man Dogs, who says, what do you mean? They already have a developmental program. It's called New Japan.
Well, that sounds funny, but it's more like New Japan's yen is down at the moment, unfortunately. That's the only reason why a lot of the wrestlers have left. The money's not as great. And plus, a lot of the Gaijins got homesick. You can only do a certain amount of time touring in Japan, missing your family is the case. To go back to what you were saying, I mean, do you think that New Japan has got the bitter end of this deal with AEW?
No, I think that New Japan has put themselves in a position where it looks like that. they decision making by New Japan has not been good, and thus that makes it seem like AEW is doing a WWE to them, but it's really due to New Japan's decision making more than anything.
Ghetto needs to leave because I feel like bookers have a good 2 to 3 years as a booker before they lose steam and regurgitate old ideas. And it's not his fault. It's like history has shown that not every booker, you know, can consistently book on a great level. They eventually lose it. Paul Heyman lost in ECW towards the end. I mean, every great people lose it. He had a great run for what it was. I think it's time for someone else to take over the book. And like, listen, the moment he got rid of the Intercontinental title and the lineage of the heavyweight title, I was like, get this guy out of here. Get this guy out of here. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, RP Jesus says, let's be real, NJPW could benefit Gaijins doing excursions there, and because their roster is old and stale. That's a good point. I mean, you saw it with Jack Perry. Jack Perry really found himself and found his character in New Japan. Someone like a Daniel Garcia, you send him over to New Japan, I think it would be very helpful for him right now, especially.
Yeah, especially how quick it was. He wasn't even there for long. Jack Perry wasn't even in Japan for that long, or in Strong or New Japan for that long. It was legit a flying visit, and that's actually impressive how quickly he come along. Even his promos, I'm like, you know, them backstage New Japan promos is what helps a lot of wrestlers become great promo artists, and he picked it up. So yeah, it can do wonders for your career.
Yeah,
Anna Jay, go to Strong, Anna Jay.
Yeah, and you saw that with Jay White, Will Ospreay, the backstage promos like turned them from night to day. Like you saw it periodically throughout their runs that they got better and better on promos, and it did the same thing in like one tour for Jack Perry. Like Sammy Guevara, Daniel Garcia, even someone like a Ricky Starks. I think Ricky Starks would be huge in Japan. His charisma would be off the charts in a New Japan.
Sammy Guevara, if they can turn his promo around, I'll be shocked, because Sammy Guevara has the same issue that Austin Theory has, where I don't believe you when you're talking. You're like, yeah, I don't believe you. It sounds scripted. Like, yes, Sid, the thing is, but that thing that I said, I'm not going to put up with it anymore. That's Sammy's promos. Yes. It's just the thing is, Josh is on his phone, but I'm tired of the phone, so I'm gonna get heated up as I'm talking. So it sounds like I'm trying to prove a point.
Exactly.
Yeah, he does that shit. Something's like so simple. Something that was so simple, he tends to drag it. And it's like, bro,
yeah,
you don't need to spend 5 minutes to talk about something that's
you used me, and I'm tired of being used. I'm not gonna put up with it anymore because of being.
Big Red Dog saying business is up for New Japan this year, but it's mostly due to Naito. Yeah. They put the title on Naito at Wrestle Kingdom and then turned around and then had him drop it to a top guy in another company. That's New Japan for you. That's what I said. They just create their own problems, it seems. But WWE, we're going to switch it up this week because we're going to start with NXT, the show that we usually end our WWE talks about, because they had a huge show, probably their most buzzworthy episode since the Wednesday Night War, as TNA Knockouts champion Jordynne Grace was revealed as Roxanne Perez's opponent for NXT Battleground in a shocking reveal. You also had Michin picked up the win over Tatum Paxley, while Kalani Jordan picked up a win over Ren Sinclair, to both ladies to qualify for the NXT Women's North American Championship ladder match at NXT Battleground. Yes, my daughter has a Prime bottle. She wants me to show y'all. You see her Prime bottle?
You guys made that.
One Prime bottle at a fair. She won a Prime bottle at a fair. You want to say hi?
Hello.
Hi.
How you
say
doing?
Hi.
Look, I got my Prime.
Yes. Look at that. Is Prime sponsoring the podcast as well?
No. They're not. They're not. I don't want to get sued, Logan Paul.
But sue you. He'd be like, buddy, I'll give you the real one. Just say.
Good. I am good on that. Meanwhile, on NXT, Sexy Red, the world famous rapper, Swerve, world famous, quote unquote, appeared and revealed the new NXT North American Women's Championship. Red also revealed she will be the host of NXT Battleground coming up next Sunday, as well as escorted NXT champion Trick Williams and Javon Evans to the ring for their win over Gallus in the main event. But it didn't end all well for Trick. Post-match, Lash Legend attempted to ask Trick about the attacks on Metaphors Noam Dar and Ora Mensa, only for former AEW star, former Ring of Honor star, former TNA star, All Ego Ethan Page debuting in WWE to attack the NXT champion and reveal that he has been behind all the attacks on Metaphor over the last couple of weeks. A big return, a big debut, for Ethan Page here. Even Vic Joseph almost saying AEW on WWE TV. What an episode it was of NXT. Sat, what did you think about the noteworthy episode of NXT with Sexy Red, TNA collaboration, and Ethan Page?
I feel like Jordynne Grace, it was unfortunate when her contract was up, Vince McMahon was still around, because I feel like had Triple H taken control early, she would have been in WWE by now. From the looks of it, you could tell that they're very high on Jordynne Grace, and I don't know how long her current contract lasts for, but I assume this is her last contract with TNA for many reasons. Scott D'Amore's not there anymore. I think it's the Scott D'Amore factor, while guys like Josh Alexander continue signing. With him gone, it feels like no one has any loyalty to this entity known as TNA. I feel like she's going to go, and it's great because she's someone that I've always felt has been underrated. It's great that she's getting a spotlight, and I feel like her and Roxanne, they're going to do great together. And, this is all like the looming presence of Julia's pending presence gonna come from the women's division, so I'm excited there. Sexy Red was doing Sexy Red things, I like her new theme, her new song that come out alongside her album. I go sexy, go da 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 pop pop pop, or the booty poppy going on. I didn't mind that. It was a good use there. And a part of me is wondering what would have happened if they didn't get Ethan Page. Who would have Trick Williams faced? Noam Dar? I don't know, but it's a good thing.
Yo, I was like, when that looked like that was going to be the main event of Battleground, I was like, damn, did they rape NXT for all their good workers again in the draft?
They did.
Because if you got to do Noam Dar versus Trick Williams as the main event, sheesh.
I mean, they should have got Charlie ready with no quota, crew for that spot. If they didn't get Ethan, they just locked out that Ethan Page's contract ran out. And if someone posted on X, they said, "Is this the quickest turnaround of a wrestler being AEW to WWE?" And I wanted to tweet, it would require for that person to be on AEW TV for that to be a thing. But I didn't do it because I can't be bothered with the aggro of me putting that comment out there, because he hasn't been on AEW TV. He's been on ROH paywall, which my brother, one of the only 5 people that watch the show, knows about. So yeah, if Ethan Page is a guy that is 33 years old, he's in that part of his career where you can't mess around, you can't pussyfoot, go to the E. He tried AEW, All Ego Wrestling didn't work out. I'm gonna miss his banger theme. That's the only thing I wish he can bring with him. I like his theme song from AEW. He's the perfect fit. He is the sports entertainer. He can wrestle. He's one of those wrestlers where people pretend. It's kind of like if you do a promo, for some weird reason, promo guys are called trash wrestlers when that's not a thing. He's one of those guys, yeah. Even MJF, as much as I can say he's corny, he can go in the ring. That I will never lie on. He can go in the ring. Ethan Page can go in the ring. He's better as a heel, which I'm happy about. I don't like when he's a baby face when you talk about my family. I want to make my family proud. My daddy, what job, my jobs, my daddy. Oh, my daddy. Okay, great. You as a heel, douchebag heel, smiley to the dimples. 6-month run NXT straight to the main roster. Let's not mess around. This guy's ready for it. He doesn't need to learn hard camera because he's been in AEW. Just put him straight to the main roster as soon as possible. He off to the races. Hopefully a future main eventer. But in this new landscape of Triple H's WWE, I don't know what a main eventer looks like anymore. To be honest,
I honestly think he should be longer in NXT because his ceiling is much higher on NXT than it is on Raw and SmackDown.
It's true.
Like you could see him as NXT champion. When he raised that belt on Tuesday, I was like, he does not look out of place. It looked right. It looked absolutely
right. Yeah.
It looked absolutely right. Like to the point that even though I've been very high on Trick Williams, I think Trick is probably going to be better in the chasing mode than he is going to be as champion. So I wouldn't even mind if they put the title on Ethan Page next Sunday.
You know what? He is a victim of timing, because look what the people he's facing with during the time when he was coming up. Melo's gone, Ilya's gone. So it's kind of like crap. The two guys that was able to protect him, make him look good, are gone. So now you're left with guys, you know, they're not really ready. You know, D'Angelo, they're building him up to be back on that level. But you're right. Ethan Page is what they need. It reminds me of old NXT when you had wrestler like Bobby Roode. Like, oh, this is great. They need someone of that kind of name and caliber to give him some sort of credibility. So yeah, I agree with you. But get rid of that goofy rainbow title.
Great comparison there. That he is dead ass this generation Bobby Roode. Like that's how he feels in NXT. Like a guy that, yeah, he should be on the main roster, but he has a much higher level here on NXT than he would on the main roster. I want to ask you, Josh, what was your reaction to Jordynne Grace showing up on NXT, and what do you think is the potential of this WWE TNA collaboration that's happening before we get into the news of the details behind the Jordynne Grace appearance?
Oh, my first honest thought was, wow, Jordynne Grace is being fed to Roxanne. Like, that's what we're getting. That's what I said. That was my honest thought, because I'm like, it's cool to see, but we all know her ass ain't winning, and I love Jordynne Grace, so I mean, it's like, it's cool.
How you know?
Oh, I definitely know. It's so obvious.
If you're gonna make an impact, you'd go with it unexpected. I'm just saying. I agree with you, but there's like 10% of me thinking, what way to make this deal look great?
No matter what, this is still WWE. Yeah, and I ain't falling for those tricks. They might fool you. They're not fooling me.
They're not fooling me. Unlike the last deal.
I said they might.
No, I'm saying unlike their last deal with another company, they getting fucked missionary. At least they know they getting fucked. The other company fucked them in the ass and left. They never tipped them. They never given the payoff. This at least say, I'm fucking you, right? You know that I'm taking Jordan.
It's just
Josh Alexander. We're gonna take your company in 2 years because you're in the red zone. Anthem, we're like, yeah, take it. You know what I'm saying? We're taking your company. At least they're fucking him in the face. AEW is like, yeah, we're all together. Look over there.
They did do that.
Hey man, I'm just saying. Hey man, if they had more yen, that's a different story. But I'm just saying. But no, I mean, honestly, that was my first thought, because it's like, it's cool to see, but I'm like, all right, cool. Like, what else? What else is next, right? I don't know. I guess I gotta wait and see more of what this whole thing is going, where this direction is going, because again, we've seen situations where there's all talk and then nothing happens. So, you know, so far it's cool to see Jordynne Grace, but then she's the only one that's been shown. Like, I want to see more. Like, all right, who else is gonna be next? Is Alexander gonna show up? Is Moose your world champion?
No, anyone but Moose.
I'm just saying, he's your champion, right? He's the champion.
Shouldn't be. Listen, he can go push other people down the stairs somewhere else and just leave WWE alone, okay? Allegedly.
Oh my god!
Jesus Christ! We need a disclaimer for that. Oh my god!
Oh my
Allegedly. God! I don't know. It might be fantasy. Metro.
I mean, but everything else. I mean, what else happened on NXT? Right? You had a Young Thug that showed up on TV.
I can't unsee it. I can't unsee it. Ever since Jimmy said it, that Sexy Red is Young Thug in a dress. I can't unsee it. He said it looked like Little Uzi with red hair. I was like, what?
Bro, when he said that, I was like, oh man. That reminds me of the Photoshop.
Yes. I don't see the difference. I don't see the difference. I hate to be that guy, but oh my god, Jimmy already did it. Oh, she's not happy about us talking about sex.
Oh.
But besides that, I think Ethan Page, that was cool too. Seeing him, I think he's in a good spot. I think this is a good situation for him. I do agree. Like, I think NXT is his ceiling, because I think if he goes to the main roster, I think he's dead in the water. In the water, the main roster. Even though he's a good talker, but there's so many guys. Like, the way I see WWE now is like, you know, there's so many people that is going there, but then at the same time, it's like, all right, this person gets signed, they're going there. Whose spot is what picking order is he going in? Because he ain't taking Cody's spot. When Roman's there, nobody's taking his spot. When Seth is back, nobody's taking Seth's spot. When Punk is back, nobody's taking his spot. You know, so it's like, it's one of those things that when guys get signed to WWE, it's like, it's cool, but then it's like, where are they going to be at, right, when it comes to that? So I think Page, this is a good spot for him, and I think he could benefit a lot. I think he becomes their best talker in NXT automatically. Like, as soon as they sign him, he's easily their best talker. Like, that's, you know, there's no question to that. So I think he's in a good spot. It's just a matter of, like, everything else is just interesting, just because, like, even outside of WWE and all the stuff, like, you know, he has like a lot of stuff going. Like, he runs a lot of businesses, a lot of projects he's doing. So I wonder what's gonna happen with that. Like, he's still gonna be part of that, because he does own like a toy company. He owns that. He does other stuff. So it's gonna be interesting to see where that goes, because he said himself he's not signed to a deal. He's not signed. It's already been confirmed. Yeah. So like, I see where he's going with it. Yeah, I see where he's going with it, which is funny, but it works out for him because he could kind of pull that off because he's a douchebag heel. So it works out. So good for him. You know, I really hope everything works out for him. Yeah, because, you know, again, when he was in AEW, things didn't work out, unfortunately. So, but this is a good thing for him. He's a talker. He's a character, and, you know, he could probably use more of his characters there as well. So we'll see.
Yeah. Sat?
Imagine this. NXT champion Ethan Page versus TNA's Josh Alexander.
Oh, they WWE can say we did the dream match that everybody wanted in TNA. We did it here in WWE.
There's your hook. That's right there.
I'm with it.
Do you think Ethan's gonna win? Do you think Ethan's gonna win the title just so they can just change things up? No offense to, because I really wrestlers
want them to, but I don't think they're gonna do it, unfortunately, because they're really high on Trick right now.
Do you think? Okay, you think Trick wins it? Battleground, and in the next show, Ethan wins it. So that way, it's like, okay, you've had somewhat of a little bit of a run. But
yeah, I can see something like that. Like, and especially, they're gonna do. That's what they're gonna do, Sat. They're gonna have Trick win at Battleground, and then Ethan Page beats Trick at Heatwave in Toronto. It just makes sense. Like, in Canada, have Ethan Page wins the NXT championship at Heatwave,
and Josh Alexander comes at the end. Josh Alexander comes at the end for the pop. Imagine if that happened. TNA. Holy cow.
Well, let's talk about the TNA WWE collab, as a new report says that WWE is likely set to work with TNA more following Jordynne Grace's appearance on NXT. She appeared to be Roxanne Perez's opponent for NXT Battleground. She is the current TNA Knockouts champion, and she is also set to compete against Stevie Turner on next week's NXT. According to PW Insider, the belief among those backstage is that there will be some kind of NXT representation on a future TNA event as well. There's no word on specifics, including how many appearances might happen or whether it could be anyone beyond Perez. TNA's next tapings are against all odds on June 14th and a TV taping on June 15th. It is not confirmed that any NXT appearances are set for either of those dates. Fightful Select had some more details on TNA Knockouts champion Jordynne Grace, saying that in terms of her TNA contract status, as Sat was asking earlier, Grace is still currently under contract with TNA Wrestling, and her current deal reportedly has about a year plus remaining on its time frame, and it should be expiring at the beginning of 2025. WWE reportedly hid away both Grace and Ethan Page before NXT's TV tapings, and the show was said to have been a more secretive than usual. Incomplete rundowns for the show featured Lita and Alexa Bliss as placeholders for Jordynne Grace's surprise appearance. WWE even used Lita's theme as a placeholder during rehearsals. NXT talents were said to be pleasantly surprised by the announcement that Grace will be wrestling next week. And Perez was also legitimately surprised by Grace's debut, which is something that she basically told them not to tell her, so her reaction to the moment would be more genuine. Grace's upcoming Battleground appearance is said to be part of an agreement with Grace and NXT that will have her make at least 3 appearances. This will include 2 advertised matches and her appearance on Tuesday night's show. Sources within NXT claim that Grace is going to make at least 6 figures for her NXT appearances. So 3 appearances is probably more than she's making in the next year plus with TNA.
You know where she's going next.
Yes, Adrian Concepcia and Johnny Russo were said to be the ones responsible for the TV segment for Jordynne Grace. While NXT talent were unaware of the announcement, new NXT superstar Ethan Page reportedly found out about it ahead of time, as he and Grace were at Cesar Bononi's, former AEW talent's house, before the reveals. They both reportedly saw each other before then and became aware of their NXT debuts. Additionally, Fightful reports that the door, a forbidden door, is now open for future crossovers between NXT and TNA. Some were concerned that Scott D'Amore's exit from TNA would shut the door for possible crossovers, since he helped out with Grace's Royal Rumble appearance and putting that together on his way out of the company. However, Fightful notes that individuals within TNA have said that the lines of communication between WWE and TNA are still open. PW Insider had more details on her status. The deal was said to be kept extremely confidential in TNA, and the majority of the staff were not told about it. TNA's creative team was likewise not told of her deal. Only TNA president Anthony Sazzone and TNA executive producer Ariel Shinzer were involved, which taking the point position for this deal. As a result of the secrecy, this week's episode of TNA Impact was edited late in the game to include a recap of Grace on NXT. And during NXT rehearsals, the run sheet listed Alexa Bliss, like we said before, with Roxanne Perez, and Lita's entrance music was played during rehearsals. A few people in WWE noted that Roxanne Perez legitimately didn't know who would be coming out, and it's believed that NXT will take part in TNA Against All Odds in Chicago, Illinois next Friday. That show, 2 weeks from Friday, well, a week from Friday, excuse me, will have a given an open challenge for the TNA Knockouts Championship, and there may even be NXT involvement at Slammiversary in Montreal too. TNA is hoping that the crossover with NXT will provide a boost in ticket sales, and like we mentioned earlier, Grace's TNA is currently set to expire in the first quarter of 2025. What do you think is like the big potential here? And I got asked this question on AE Ramble, so I'll ask you, Sat. What do you think WWE gets out of this collaboration with TNA?
Well, obviously, envision this match. Slammiversary, Moose versus Dante Chen. Oh my gosh, Dante has come so far with his victory recently. They're strapping the rocket to him because that's the level of talent we expect to see on TNA. Dante Chen. All right. Enough with the joke. That was a little joke I wanted to pop you with. What does WWE get out of it? Obviously, in the Vincent K. McMahon playbook, survey the land. What talents do you have? You know, it's kind of like Georgia Championship Wrestling, only they don't have to buy the TV slot. You know, they got their little spies. They look at the wrestlers. You're like, oh, Rascals. Oh, crap. Nash Carter. I guess you're not you're not a saluter. Come back. You know, put the rascals back together. Who you got back? Trey Miguel? We get him as well. MSK. You know, so for me, the way I see it is WWE gets a better look of the company they're potentially buying out in the future, taking the video library, taking their social media, because that's the only thing I can see. WWE can't play ball. They're addicted to taking talent. That's what happens, right? They take what they esteem the stars. Josh Alexander, gosh darn it, because you know we need more workers. Because that's the thing. Since most of the great players are in AEW, Triple H in his mind's thinking, man, all right, oh, Hammerstone. You know what I'm saying? I'm just thinking that this is just a covert operations to raid their talent. You can't say, what did they get out of it? Nothing, because they WWE. They get nothing. Maybe some NXT reps. You know, Jelani Jordan win the women's title, maybe. They got women's tag titles, you know? Maybe give it to Metaphor. I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Before
the news of like the TNA changes up behind the scenes, I just said the number one reason for WWE to do this deal is it baby faces them. They're like, oh, we're now open to working with everybody. We're the good guys here. Because that's all this whole Triple H run has been about. It's been about baby facing WWE. They've always been the heel company, the evil empire. They don't want to work with anybody. They don't want to mention anybody, but now they're open. We're going to GCW events. We're lending out our talent to a GCW show. We're lending out our talent for Marigold. We're laying out our talent for TNA. We're opening the red carpet for a TNA champion. It's all about baby facing WWE right now.
But yeah, anybody but Moose. Keep Moose away from WWE TV. My goodness. You know what I'm saying? Like, just keep him away. Just all I can say is that. Let him lose the title. Give it to AJ Francis. You know, let him if you want a heel champion, please. That's what I'm saying. No offense, but yeah, that I'm not excited about Moose versus Trick, or you know, Moose versus NXT legit, who do they have? I can't even think of big names in there. They legit need to restart, because even with Javon Evans, he just started, but because they lacking on the babyface side, that's how much they're rushing. Obafemi, let Obafemi become the TNA World Champion. Why not? For shits and giggles.
Why not? Why not? Have him collect some titles.
But before we move on, if I remember correctly, Jordan Grace used to travel with the North. So her and Ethan Page they do have a relationship. I remember one podcast where she was talking about how the room she walked into stank, and I was like, Elgin, because I got told that Michael Elgin stinks. So Elgin was stinking up the room. That's the only reason why. Because I got told from a reputable source that you know who I'm talking about told me Elgin stinks. Like the smell.
Well, I have been told by Josh Alexander that he one of the first people that Jordan Grace called about her appearance at the Royal Rumble. So yeah, she has a very close relationship with Josh. So obviously I would think that she has a pretty good relationship with Ethan Page as well. A new report adds some other details on NXT this week. Some details about Ethan Page's surprise debut. Select reports that NXT has been interested in bringing in Page since it was reported he had left AEW. Shawn Michaels served as a stand-in for Page during rehearsals, and Booker T was listed in Page's place on rundowns. They actually played Shinsuke Nakamura's theme during his rehearsals, and it was noted that Johnny Russo was the writer for the segment. And Nick Josen's allusion to almost saying AEW was, to no surprise, scripted in the script. The report also notes that Sexy Red, who appeared on the show, will be the host of NXT Battleground and was praised by sources in NXT and was said to be easy to work with. She is expected to make more appearances on WWE NXT TV after her Battleground gig, and one source compared her present moving forward as similar to Poppy, who has appeared on NXT. And Gigi Dolan was not backstage this week's NXT. Her storyline with Ariana Grace is confirmed to have been dropped. There is no word on as of yet of why that has occurred, but it is a rather big note there. And then the last note is of a former NXT talent. Gable Steveson has signed with the NFL's Buffalo Bills. ESPN reports that Stevenson signed a 3-year rookie deal with the Bills, and he will play on the defensive line. If hypothetically Stevenson were to win the Super Bowl, he would be the only only the second athlete to win an Olympic gold medal and a Super Bowl ring. The first was Bob Hayes.
Yeah, you see, like that's the problem I have. They're talking about a Super Bowl. The Bills haven't even been to their fucking championship conference, like championship game. You're talking about a fucking Super Bowl? They haven't even been past the second round. You're talking about a damn Super Bowl with this guy. Really?
Was the Minnesota Viking not available to sign this guy?
They probably weren't,
No.
because they're more focused trying to give Jefferson an extension.
Steveson, just go to UFC, just get battered, bro. Go Bellator or something like that. This is a weird career, trajectory. Just go UFC. You're destined for that. You're destined to get battered. Go in a cage where you belong, allegedly.
Yeah, and there's no guarantee he makes the fucking roster.
Exactly. Ask Brock Lesnar.
This is just weird. This is just
his mentor's playbook. He's doing a Brock Lesnar. Brock
this is like
He did 100%.
This is ass backwards. This is like ass back, because at least when Brock like tried it, he was established. This guy didn't do anything. Like
no. Even Brock was wrong. Listen, Shelton Benjamin was a two-sport athlete, while Brock Lesnar only focused on amateur wrestling. He was getting into a sport that he has no business getting into. That's like me and Sid saying, actually, I don't know. Sid probably wasn't an amateur wrestler. That's like, because in the UK we don't have amateur wrestling. That's like me saying it. I'm going to America to be an amateur wrestler. Even though I'm 34 now and I've got no business to be bumping.
I'm saying, like, that's why he's doing the ass.
Do it. Go for it.
This shit is weird. Like, it's so random, and I'm like, does this guy even play football to even get signed? Like, who, like, what dirt that he has on somebody in the Bills that he was able to get a contract? That's I'm just saying. Like, I'm just saying.
Big Man Dogs said something. Highlight that after, Sid. I want to say something about this. The New Japan.
Well, we got a
IWGP.
super chat donation. We got a super chat donation first from Will Chisholm. Thank you so much, Will. Always appreciate the support. Keep coming with those super chat donations as always. He says it's looking nasty. WWE working with TNA and Marigold with Julia, and Nick Khan was at a Sukyaban show in LA, and WWE really trying to do a women's show. LOL. Sorry, I don't trust it. I mean, I think that we have all kind of expressed it in not really like aggressive ways, but we all kind of see what WWE is really doing here. It's a ploy to babyface themselves, as they have a bunch of big news that we'll talk about shortly here about lawsuits, U.S. government investing. Kind of makes wrestling fans forget about all that stuff and only pay attention to that. That's them babyfacing themselves, making themselves look like the good guy that wants to work with everybody. And also, like Sad alluded to, they're prepping to probably buy TNA's tape library at the very least.
Yeah,
it's all of those things.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Like I just don't think it's genuine. That's just how I feel about it. All this shit that they're doing, it's not. I don't think it's in that much good faith that people think it is.
It's a Trojan horse.
And
that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is.
It is. Will Chisholm also with a super sticker. Thank you so much, Will. As always, we appreciate the support as you always give us. We appreciate you, sir. Big Man Dog says, so Gable Steveson is the next IWGP champ. Hell
yeah.
To the fucking no. They are not going to do
it.
Ghetto.
Yes. Well, yes. I mean, House of Torture. Join the House of Torture. Win the title. Yeah. I see the vision.
I mean, hey, Big Man Dogs has a lot of usually bad takes, but this is probably the worst questions he's ever asked.
It's gonna happen. You know what, Gable? Just go to New Japan. They need someone right now. And you were in WWE for a cup of coffee. He faced Baron Corbin. That's why he's wrestling for the IWGP.
Look at this salesman trying to sell me this crap. Trying to sell Gable Steveson.
He's gonna go. Look at him and Oleg. Hear him and Oleg Bolton main event in Wrestle Kingdom.
I would say Sat's doing a better job than he did in his development.
I don't listen. The better Steveson brother is in WWE. He's in no court to catch club.
Facts.
Long ass name.
You know, it's funny. We did say that before a while back. Like, we did say that his brother has a charisma for the company. Gable Steveson has nothing. like watching.
He has 10% more. He has 10%. He emotes more. At least he looks like he's alive and he's not sleepwalking through things. Damon Kemp's got a lot to work on, but at least he looks like that he enjoys wrestling. He's trying to engage with wrestling. His brother, someone posted earlier his dark match with Trevor Lee. Eesh, my goodness.
Yeah.
You know they say the key to good wrestling is what you do in between the moves. He's sleepwalking through the whole thing, and I'm like, you comparing him to Kurt Angle? Get the fuck out of there. And
honestly, he was doomed from that. He was doomed from that because everybody. I said it too. Says my witness. The comparison to Kurt Angle, I always thought it was unfair. Like not only in general, but like even to Stevenson himself. Because I'm just like, now you're just putting a fucking unrealistic idea of the guy what he's supposed to be. Not everybody can be Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle was a situation that it luckily worked out because the guy has so much charisma. That's why it worked out too. Like not only he was a great wrestler, but there's other aspects in wrestling that he was good at. And this guy doesn't have that. Stevenson never had that.
I don't want to exaggerate. I don't know if this is a bigger downfall than Velveteen Dream, but this guy was endorsed by Paul Heyman,
no, I think it is.
Lesnar, Stephanie McMahon. I remember I was doing Wrestling Daily with Sid when I was saying this guy could be future WWE champion because he can do backflips and stuff like that, and he looks the part. And then all the allegations came from like, man, he's half black. They ain't gonna let him go. Because no offense, it seems like the black people with the reputation that leaves the company, the Josh Briggs and the Fury of the World, allegedly get to stay. Josh Briggs annoys me when I see. You know what? I just want to chuck something at the screen. Disgusting human being. But it's the black people with the alleged stuff. They're the ones that get shot the door. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Or the people who hang out with black people.
No, they really pushed they really. I remember that shit. They really was pushing for him, and then. He was even drafted.
And his mom and dad were in the draft video.
He was even drafted to Raw.
Exactly.
He was drafted to Raw in 2021.
And he did nothing. He was meant to be training, and he's like, guys, can I go do this trial for amateur wrestling? You're a WWE wrestler now. What are you asking? That's when you knew. That's when they should have known. Dude, his heart's not in this, man. It's just because, I don't know. Gerald Briscoe, Brock Lesnar, they must have went to him, this could be your next future. He lied that he likes wrestling. It shows he didn't really care for wrestling. Maybe his brother likes wrestling and he just followed. You know what? Yeah. Goodness.
That's probably it. WWE, we'll move on more WWE. Last night at SmackDown, and we had a reenactment of a famous angle on SmackDown as the show featured AJ Styles addressing his future in a takeoff of the famous Mark Henry retirement angle. Styles came down in a baby blue suit, cutting an emotional promo about his family and career before inviting Cody Rhodes out, saying that this is the house that AJ Styles built, but now he was given the keys to Cody. Cody raised AJ's arm all across the ring before AJ clotheslined his head off, beat him down before ending the attack with a Styles clash off of the steel steps to the floor, while Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson of the OC held off security and Nick Aldis and officials as they stood tall to end the show, as AJ Styles put himself back in position for a shot at the undisputed WWE Championship. Meanwhile, Nia Jax did her crowning as Queen of the Ring, which she invited out WWE Women's Champion Bayley, who was attacked from behind by Piper Niven and Chelsea Green, with Green warning Nia that Piper will be champion by SummerSlam. This led to Niven and Green beating Bayley and Naomi in the main event matchup. You had LA Knight, made his intentions known for Logan Paul's United States Championship in a funny exchange with Carmelo Hayes, where Carmelo Hayes fumbled over his lines, and LA Knight has no chill at all, just exposing him in front of everybody. That shit had me dead. I was dead at him. I was like, this man has no chill. No fucking chill. No fucking chill at all.
Nah, it's not much mania, baby. Nah, we're making this canon.
Paul Heyman attempted to talk strategy with Solo Sikoa, but it was Kevin Owens who came out to the ring, leading to a fantastic promo exchange with Paul Heyman, who tried to help and save KO from the bloodline, only to get so upset at him not listening that he accidentally hit Owens. This led to a brawl between the bloodline and KO and the Street Profits, but in the end, it was the bloodline picking up the victory as Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, the former Gorillas of Destiny, had their tag team debut in WWE, getting the win over former champions, the Street Profits, in a good matchup. Any thoughts on last night's SmackDown set? Yes, the baby blue shirt, the baby blue suit, the pink suit. But this is another instinct where comparisons hurt it, because Mark Henry convinced us a bill of goods that he was retiring. I was not fooled for a second by AJ Styles.
All I can say, what the Public Enemy podcast said: never trust guys in pastel suits. Nothing good's gonna happen out of this situation. The only thing I took away from that episode was all of a sudden AJ Styles of the OC. It was on his lower third on the bottom. I was like, interesting. And then he had Gallows and Anderson come out. I was like, this is interesting. And then Gallows and Anderson stopped the referees from interfering. I'm like, yes, heel OC, all is right with the world. Listen, if you're going to have a grumpy AJ Styles as a heel, he needs his boys. Michin as a babyface, dead in the water, maybe as a heel, as a tough, badass chick. That could be the rejuvenation you need for her on the main roster. So I'm hoping that out of this, it is beat up Cody Rhodes, kind of like beat up John Cena. They're like, we're going to beat up Cody Rhodes, because Cody Rhodes needs adversity in this feud, as in like the hoops that he has to go through to get revenge. Even though it's the title, his title is what AJ wants. It makes sense that in order to change up the storyline, adding the OC will give weeks of Cody beats Gallows, Cody beats Anderson, Cody beats Anderson and Gallows in a handicap match. that iteration, Randy Orton tags up or wherever bleeds into the storyline. I feel like even though it was a reboot or a remake of an original segment, it was a good a good new chapter in this feud reigniting, because they had a great match in Lyon, France. AJ Styles is in the twilight of his career. He's just not ready to retire just yet. It's a great usage of him, and I'm excited to see where this goes. Cody Rhodes continues to be the most wholesome babyface. Even his emotions, I feel like he draws from real emotions. It's not him doing a Tony Khan, because Tony Khan does that a lot with. You know what I'm talking about. Tony Khan does that when he's trying to be sympathetic. With Cody, it comes from a real place. I enjoy that, and I can't wait to see what happens next. Or the whole of SmackDown, Queen Nia. Woohoo! Queen Nia. Listen, I've been a Nia apologist / defender. It feels great that I've been, what's the word? She's redeemed me. Her and Baron Corbin have both redeemed me lately. Because I'm like, I don't like to follow a crowd like, you telling me I should boo this guy? I'm like, why should I boo this person? Like, give me because you don't like them. I can see what they could be. This is the Nia Jax I've wanted from NXT. We're getting on the main roster. You said it months ago where she stopped watching tapes of Andre the Giant and Kevin Nash, and she's watching like Big Van Vader and Bam Bam Bigelow, because that's the style she's wrestling now. She's lost weight. That means her cardio's better. She's bumping more in this run than she ever did in her last run, because, she's a giant. Tippy, 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 toppy, tippy. Now every month she's doing them sentons, she's bumping, she has redeemed herself, and her as a queen, it fits her because she's very hammy, very charismatic, and you got one wrestler on Raw who treats it as a prize, as a trophy. She's old school where she's gonna wear it. She's a queen. She's King Mabel, but female.
I love that. We got a super chat donation here. Thank you so much. Once again, the good brother Will Chisholm. He says, when Paul Heyman said, "Who's we?" in my head, I said, "The final boss." In the
final boss
voice, LOL. Yes, I do feel that The Rock is pulling all the strings in this whole story with the bloodline. And I thought that the bloodline was great last night with that promo exchange with Heyman and Kevin Owens. And I thought they set up the AJ Styles final segment really well. They built it up throughout the show with multiple segments that made it feel important. And I wasn't surprised that a bunch of people were fooled by that whole segment to begin with. I wasn't at all. I was telling Cody, it's a trap. It's a trap. Josh,
He was in the company
I
when that
see- I
happened as
see.
well. He was in the company when it happened as well. Cody, you were there, hanging out with
You were
Damien.
there. Come
Yeah, you were
on,
there,
you
hanging
know
out
what's
with-
gonna happen.
You're hanging out with Sandow maybe at that time. You know what was gonna happen. Gosh.
Poor guy, Cody, idiot. But we got some news to discuss coming out of SmackDown, which I'm sure is gonna make Josh facepalm once again. This is another edition of the McMahon secession. The United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York has officially filed a notice. Wrong picture. Sorry, Jordan Grace. I don't want to talk about you during this. But he has filed a notice of appearance in the civil lawsuit by former WWE employee Janelle Grant against WWE former executive chairman Vince McMahon and former executive John Laurinaitis, granting the plaintiff a stay in her case pending a non-public investigation. As reported by Bloomberg, Grant's lawsuit has been put on pause at the request of the United States Justice Department, and the pause will last for 6 months. Essentially, the civil lawsuit has been put on pause until the non-public investigation has been completed. The office of Ann Callis, attorney of Janelle Grant, issued the following statement to 411 Mania on the decision. It said, Miss Grant has consented to a request by the U.S. attorney, but for the Southern District of New York to stay her case against Mr. McMahon, WWE, and Mr. Laurinaitis. Pursuant in a pending non-public investigation, we will cooperate with all appropriate next steps. As previously reported, Vince McMahon is currently under federal investigation due to the allegations Grant made against him. The Wall Street Journal reported that the investigators are looking into rape, sex trafficking, and sexual assault, commercial sex transaction, harassment, or discrimination against current or former WWE employees. Grant previously filed a suit against WWE, McMahon, and Laurinaitis, alleging these allegations, and WrestleNomics' Brandon Thurston reported an additional statement saying a statement from Jessica Rosenberg, which is Vince McMahon's attorney, said, we remain confident the evidence will prove Miss Grant's allegations are false, and her complaint is nothing more than a fabrication, vindictive narrative from a disgruntled former girlfriend. The United States government has joined Janelle Grant's lawsuit as an interested party. As PW Insider notes, a filing was made in the lawsuit by the U.S. government with Assistant United States Attorney Sarah Moratazzi from the Southern District of New York, joining the case as a counsel for the United States. The report goes on to confirm that 4 sealed documents were submitted to the court on Thursday on behalf of the attorney for the United States. So, in a week where Donald Trump gets charged with all charges, it looks like his buddy Vince McMahon may be joining him. What do you think, Seth?
The cost.
No, we'll start with Josh. Josh hasn't said anything in a while. We'll start with you, Josh. What do you think
about all this? I mean, Vince did it. I'm still convinced he did something. So throw the book at his ass.
Yeah, I can't say otherwise. Yeah, it just seems like this is going from bad to worse for Vince at every turn.
And it was funny because, like, on Twitter, right? And I've been saying this for a long time. Like, Twitter is such a toxic platform, especially when it comes to like wrestling and all this stuff. Because when this whole thing got reported, right? It got out there that the lawsuit was being paused, was being held, right? A lot of people assumed, like, oh, she doesn't have a case. Oh, this helps Vince, right? But yeah, they ignored the details of why it was being paused. And I'm like, no, it's because the fucking government is getting involved. That's even worse. Like, it's worse.
By far.
Like, what? And that's the shit that is like, it's crazy to me that when it comes to Vince, I mean, I feel the way that I feel about Vince. And it's like, to me, it's just like, yeah, he's done like he you know, like a lot of people try to use like, oh, you know, if it wasn't for him pro wrestling wouldn't be where it's at today. I was like, to me, at this point, it doesn't even fucking matter. If the man did slimy shit, if he did all the shit that's being alleged, then he deserves what he gets. Like, it doesn't matter what accomplishments you've had. It doesn't take away from the shitty shit that you've done. And if all of this is true, then he's getting what he deserves.
Sat, what's your response to all this news?
I'm saying that it seems like the cast of Tribute to the Troops have been having a bad week, from Diddy, Donald Trump, and now Vince McMahon. I just wanted to highlight that point. And going to what Josh said about people saying how Vince changed wrestling. Vince changed wrestling in the 80s on purpose. Vince stumbled into changing wrestling in the 90s because he still had to keep it 80s. Let's keep it real. Vince ruined wrestling for the last 20 years. He should have been out from 2001. From the moment he made Trish Stratus bark like a dog, they should have took the pen away from him. So 2001 onwards, wrestling would have been in a much better hands. But no, we had this guy systematically kill our spirit and our emotions watching wrestling. We ask ourselves, why are we even watching this? Because it used to be good. And it might get good again. Because we'll talk from the 80s and 90s that Vince figures it out eventually. But then we have 20 years of him never figuring it out, to the point where he then got outed. You can say that it was from the Diva Search era, when John Laurinaitis became in charge of hiring women. That's when his perverted behavior amplified. Because during the 90s, you had, again, Bull Nakano, beautiful woman, but, he's not going to pull moves on Bull Nakano. Maybe he tries it with Alundra Blaze, but, he might get his ass kicked, So I felt like it was from 2004 onwards, you can probably say that, because Laurinaitis was probably his guy picking out, women. It started from there, because it seems that in that timeline, that's when his perversion was even more ramped up. Him wanting to be the father of his daughter's baby, So as for a guy, Sid, I never understood this. For a guy who's ashamed to be from the South, he has tendency to allegedly that people from the South have, I hate the Southern wrestling. You can't say WWE properly. WWE. I got a draw. I got something draw. And then you want to impregnate your daughter. That's very, very incestuous of you. Very backwards country-esque. But yeah, good riddance to bad rubbish. If it wasn't for all of this, he'd still be running the company and making us watch the most horrible version of sports entertainment. And then him and Buck Teeth ruining the presentation of TV. So karma is a bitch. It's taken how many years? This is for Owen. This is for all of the guys that you effed over. Get that neck brace. And Steph, it looks like the US government will get him now. Going back to her 2001 speech.
Yes. And I wouldn't be surprised if Steph gets investigated too. Anyway, we do got a super chat donation here from Chuck Berries. Thank you so much, Chuck Berries, for the support. As always, he says, who do you guys think gets the better reaction at Clash at the Castle? Piper Niven or Bayley? That match was made official on us, the after show, the SmackDown Lowdown. It seems like a European fan, says Chuck Berry's, Europe loves them some Bayley as much as myself. LOAI, LOL. But I would say I wouldn't be surprised if Bayley got a bigger reaction than Piper Niven, only because Piper Niven's character has only been focused on over the last couple of weeks to build her up for Clash at the Castle. I think she's going to get a big reaction because it's going to be in Scotland, but I wouldn't be surprised if Bayley got as big or bigger a reaction.
Well, let's not discount the fact that she used to be Viper in Scottish Independence. So there will be people that remember her run from Brit Rest. She is one of the OGs. I feel like the Stardom Gaijins kind of get lost in history now. Don't forget, the Blair Davenport, Tony Storm, Jamie Hayter, and Viper. They're all women that kind of, paved the ways for being a Gaijin in Japan and going into, major wrestling promotions. There's a great opportunity for her, because the last Clash of the Castle, they had no Welsh person to book, to the point where it's like, bring back Mason Ryan for this occasion. But I'm happy that they're building up pipe, kind of like the Willow opportunity. if she can have a great outing and this focus shows her in a different light, then we've achieved something. Because obviously we know Bailey's winning, but it shouldn't discount the fact that Piper Niven's getting a title opportunity in front of a hometown crowd, something Vince would never do. He'd be so ignorant. Like, push Piper, put Piper in the spot. Chelsea Green. I mean, it's Chelsea, right? You put Chelsea in the match. No, put Piper Niven in the match. And then Bailey needs to stack up the victories. She needs to look like she's having a decent title reign, even though it feels like it's been a couple of months. You know, it's still developing what she is as a babyface champion. This is a great opportunity again for Piper Niven.
And I think they're just using they're kind of using Bailey. Like I tend to forget that she's champion some weeks because they don't really show her in a prominent position.
Her new song sucks. All right. How does a song have 2 intros? I think that's the issue. The song has 2 intros. It's an OG intro. You do then the Egyptian sounding thing. You're like, why is it? And she comes out from the second intro. So that pop is not going to be instant because there's still a second intro starting. And then the song starts. It's one of those songs, had it had lyrics, it would be palatable. It sounds like they're trying to go for a Paramore-esque, because I can't say, oh, it's crap. It sounds like a pop, you know, something Paramore would sing, you know, a very angsty, emo, rocky track. It needs some singing, because how you get some 2 intros? I'm sorry, it sucks. The theme song sucks balls, sucks ass. But to answer your question, yay, Piper. I think it'd be 50-50. It's, hey, Bailey, ooh, I want to know. Don't want to get demonetized. That's the song, sorry.
We got another super chat donation here from Will Chisholm. Thank you once again, Will. He says, to be fair to Cody, he was a big fan of Sting and Rey Mysterio, and they had people turn on them. That is true. He has dumb babyface syndrome.
I'm sorry, there's no excuse. Cody was a dumbass for that. Just like the fans who actually fell for that. I'm sorry. I just had to get that out there. How the fuck did you fall for that? Like, how did you fall for that? Like, and then let's talk about the suit that AJ was wearing. Like, what the? That's some tacky ass suit. That looked like he was going to like prom. Remember, like the episode of Fresh Prince where Carlton, you know, like when Will was with Queen Latifah, and then you know Carlton was having a bad night. That's what the suit looked like. It looked like that.
He looked like he went to Solo Taylor. That shit ain't fitted. That shit ain't. Solo's fit Taylor hasn't got him a fitted suit yet.
Bro. Can I say something? Wouldn't it be better if he did a Kyle O'Reilly Von Wagner thing where he goes for the close and he ducks? Wouldn't that have been better? Then Cody punches him, then OC chop block him, and then you still have the ending. Because it would have protected Cody more, right? OC's there to even an odds to overpower him. Then you'd be like, oh, at least Cody saw it coming, you know.
That's what I thought. I thought they were gonna do like a 2-suite with all the former Bullet Club members, and then all 3 of them jump Cody. I think that would have worked better instead of trying to do the exact copy of the Mark Henry John Cena angle.
They're lucky we like that storyline so much that we're overlooking the negative points. You know what I'm saying? The Starks is a heck of a drug.
It very much is. It very much is, and it gets us every single time. Finally, from WWE, we had WWE Raw this week. The show featured Liv Morgan beating Becky Lynch in what could possibly be Becky Lynch's final match in WWE, as Liv retained the WWE Women's World Championship. Thanks to interference from none other than Dominic Mysterio. Post-match, Liv planted a big old kiss on Dirty Dom that got cut off for us US viewers, but everyone in Europe and online got to see it. Meanwhile, Gunther had his King of the Ring coronation, which was interrupted by World Heavyweight Champion Damian Priest. He talked down about Priest winning the money in the bank and getting the world title in that fashion, which led to Drew McIntyre coming out and talking about Priest is paying attention to everybody but him, even though he's facing him at Clash at the Castle. Braun Strowman then came out to interrupt that, which led to our opening match where he beat JD McDonough. Unfortunately for JD, post-match he Braun with a steel chair, which led to Strowman chasing him around all night and eventually chasing Judgment Day around the ring during the main event, which led to Dom running the steel cage door into Becky's head, costing her the win. Ricochet and Ilya Dragunov had a rematch from the King of the Ring tournament, which went to a no contest after Braun appeared to spear both men despite being suspended. Rey Mysterio a win over Carlito, while Chad Gable attempted to whip Otis for costing him the Intercontinental Championship at King and Queen of the Ring. First, it was Maxine Dupree who stopped Gable from whipping Otis, and then it was Sami Zayn who came down, leading to a brawl where Gable got the better of Zayn after a distraction by Otis. I wanted to ask you, Sat, what have you thought about the Chad Gable heel turn and his work with Alpha Academy on Raw?
It's one of them ones where I have to give Paul Levesque his due, and you didn't have to do this storyline. You could have went with babyface Chad Gable winning the title at WrestleMania and having a babyface champion. But doing this is added layers to Chad Gable as a character. It's giving him more equity. There's more of a ceiling for him to be a heel champion than being a plucky babyface where there's so many babyface there is. So yeah, a heel Chad Gable being a world champion, that's more feasible than him being a babyface champion. The storyline has done well for Otis. This is redeeming Otis from the pandemic. He was one of the victims of the pandemic, Otis was, because him and Mandy's moment was in front of nobody in a warehouse. So he didn't become a big star. And Vince veered too much into comedy with him. So that's why he had a rehab of shaving off his facial hair, being serious. I still remember that he had the ponytail. He didn't look like himself. He had squinty eyes. So they've done a rehab of where Otis is legitimate. It's not like the comedy character where you didn't believe he could probably beat a Braun Strowman. Then now Otis, you can say, yeah, if they wanted to heat him up and beat Braun Strowman, yeah, sure. He's got more legitimacy than he did when he was one half of a tag team. So I feel like he's been put over really well. I hope Maxine gets a payoff as well because she's been getting the brunt of it for heel prosperity. And Tozawa gets TV time, I guess. But yeah, I'm sorry, poor Tozawa. They could do more with him, but you know, we're all taking time until the Creed brothers and Ivy Nile take the spot because we know that's where it's going to end up. And Sami Zayn's involvement in the story, in addition to it being about his title, is him seeing a retreat of the bloodline because he was part of a group that had abuse as well. So if people are wondering why is he sticking up for Otis, he probably sees a bit of himself in Otis because he went through an abusive situation with the bloodline.
Has a lot of layers to it. That's why I've been enjoying it and the storyline. What did you think about the Liv and Dom kiss, Josh, on Monday Night Raw? Safet, I've seen you say this in a couple of group chats. I've seen you say it earlier in the show, and you said it on a couple of our streams this week. I don't think Dom and Liv's kiss broke the internet because the TNA and Ethan Page showing up on NXT was the big story less than 24 hours later, and no one was talking about Liv and Dom anymore. So I don't think it broke the internet. It was just a thing to talk about that night. But what did you think, Josh?
Yeah, I don't agree that it broke the internet. It was just another proof that Dom is a simp. You know, like that's all it really proves to me. He's a simp. He's probably a cuck too, so it wouldn't really surprise me at this point.
Probably he is. He enjoys it.
Like he enjoys this shit. Like
the character.
Like he loves being abused. Like it's just weird. Like I'm like, you know, but for the match itself, I thought the finish was trash. Like
I thought the match was not good. I didn't think the match was good.
It's not on Becky. It's not on Becky.
Yeah, the match was like, to me, the match was whatever, but the finish itself was like trash. Like I was like, what the fuck was this? Like, and I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, if this, quote unquote, if this was like the last like match for Becky Lynch, I'm like, this is how you go out with Becky Lynch. Okay, I guess it's like Aaron Rodgers all over again with Green Bay. But yeah, that's just how I was like, what is this? It was, the match itself, like the match announcement was kind of rushed because I didn't expect a rematch this soon. But then, you know, with Becky not signing a new deal, which it's very interesting. I'll get into it. The finish was trash. The kiss itself was just like, okay, that was a simp. Where do you go from here?
Sid. So I read a thread on X that could this be Finn Balor's long-term plan coming to fruition? Because someone refreshed my memory that how Liv, Finn Balor, AJ Styles were initially against Judgment Day. There could be a case that Finn, Trojan horsed JD McDonough. There's a reason why it's always them two sneaking off chatting.
Yeah.
Liv's part of it. Because I initially thought it was Dom and Liv colluding, and I read this thread. Maybe it is the case that Dom legit does love Rhea. He's just an idiot, and the only way to control Dom is to traumatize him. That's what Rhea did in the beginning. You know, wrap my legs around you. I don't know how I feel. You're choking me out, but I'm also turned on. So now Liv is being seductive. So
That's exactly what Dom is.
Yeah, because Liv, So because Dom came out, held a cage door. And someone said it could be a case of like JD and Finn know that Braun's looking for them. What's the best way to get Braun to come out in the open so we can screw Becky out of the match? So I do feel like they're all a part of it. But Dom will come around to it, of course, because, you know, the lore of Liv Morgan when Rhea comes back. But Damian and Rhea, the original members, are getting ousted by Finn Balor and Liv Morgan because they feuded. So it could be a long-term plan come to fruition. That's what this thread I read. And I thought it was interesting because, yeah.
I wouldn't mind that at all, because right now, everybody outside of Damian in the current Judgment Day look like idiots that can't tie their shoes.
Yeah.
Like,
I
they don't
hate
have
that
brain
as well.
function. Like,
I hate that.
Yeah.
I hate that. Carlito should be, you know, much more vicious. You know, JD McDonough should go back to being, as much as we used to make fun of it in the NXT podcast, go back to reading body parts and having ice cold baths. It'd be, if people knew what kind of guy he was before now, it's night and day. He was actually a compelling character, even though I hated it, like as in like, because there's certain things about his big head that I don't like, but at least he had a compelling character. Now he's just like, I am just Lara Valkyria for Finn. You know, I got my little Irish buddy, me and my little Irish buddy. We gotta do something, be my Irish buddy, dilly dilly boom. And also Finn Balor never forgets, Damien, you screwed me at my title shot. So he needs his revenge. So Clash at the Castle, get ready to learn Finn Balor's theme.
oh God. Well, we got news for WWE as they got a lot of contracts expiring right now. Becky Lynch has become a free agent as of today. Becky's WWE's contract has been the subject of a lot of chatter, while the idea of Lynch going elsewhere may be tantalizing by some fans. That isn't likely going to happen. The Wrestling Observer newsletter reports that Lynch is planning to take an extended period of time off. It was described as not a retirement, but more of a very extended absence. Dave Meltzer, who said he would not expect Lynch to go to AEW, speculated that break for Lynch had been likely planned for after WrestleMania. However, Rhea Ripley suffered an injury. So Liv Morgan had to work a short program with Lynch to help build her up. So Becky seemingly has had her final match for now. Maybe we don't see her until the end of 2024 or maybe even 2025, but nothing to worry about there. It's just Becky Lynch. It seems like that thing is all settled. She'll take a few months break and then she'll be back. Nothing else for WWE to worry about. Oh, wait. Another WWE star's contract is soon to be up as well in Ricochet. Fightful Select reports that the Raw Superstars contract is set to expire this summer. WWE sources have indicated that there are discussions on a potential new deal plan between the two sides. Ricochet is expected to get a lot of interest from every company outside of WWE that could afford him should he not re-sign with WWE. He had reportedly signed a 5-year deal back in 2019, and a big star from another company, and Will Ospreay, has weighed in on this in the past in an interview with comicbook.com last week. He said, keep up with Ricochet all the time, and sometimes I get a little bit sad about it. I hope he's not sad, and I hope he's really happy. I keep up with him as much as I can, but I feel like people are forgetting who Ricochet was once upon a time. All these high flyers that you see, and myself included, we all took inspiration from Pac and Ricochet. The fact that they only value his time for under 5 minutes is appalling to me. I just want people to remember who he is. After the Fightful news drop, Ospreay took a social took to social media to post a picture of himself shaking hands with Ricochet from their famous NJPW Best of Super Juniors matchup from 2016. But I mean, Ricochet has Samantha Irvin in WWE, so there's nothing really to worry about there. You know, Becky's gonna come back because she has Seth there. You know, Ricochet has Samantha Irvin there, so he'll come back. There's nothing really for WWE to worry about. Oh wait, Fightful Select reports that the current WWE contract for Chad Gable is up next Friday, which would make him a free agent. At this time, a new deal has not been reached, although WWE has been interested in re-signing him. If he becomes a free agent, he's expected to get interest from a variety of promotions. It's believed that talent in other companies will push for him to get signed. We've heard in the past FTR are very high on Chad Gable from their time working with him. So he is this is like the highest profile WWE story that he is currently in with his current heel turn and work with the Alpha Academy. So okay, maybe that is one person to worry about. So, you know, they just got to worry about him. They don't have to worry about Ricochet. They don't have to worry about Becky Lynch. It's not like any like long-term, like people that's been with the company since like the early 1900s is about to expire their contract. Oh, wait, there is someone. Natalya has been offered a contract extension from WWE as her current deal is set to expire early next month. However, there's been no word on whether she has agreed to sign as of yet. PW Insider reports that several sources in WWE were surprised that the company waited so long to begin discussions. Talks began about 2 to 3 weeks ago. WWE, meanwhile, feels they have time to make the deal happen. One of the reasons Natalya might stay is that her husband, TJ Wilson, is a top producer with the company, and she is regularly requested by top talent. And as previously noted, they have resigned a bunch of new deals like McIntyre, Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, Damian Priest as of yet, but not Natalya. What do you think, Seth, about all these deals, and who out of all the names we just mentioned do you think is the most likely to hear an offer, not make the jump, but hear an offer from AEW?
Ricochet for many different reasons, from New Japan, stuff he did in New Japan, from Lucha Underground, from his independent stuff, his friendship with Will Ospreay, because Bill thinks very highly of him. When we were younger, back before he's making as a professional wrestler, he used to talk to us a lot, talk our ears off about this guy called Ricochet. I'm like, who? Ricochet. This guy Ricochet is great. I only know Ricochet because he used to talk about him a lot. So when he talks about how much he loves this guy because they're friends as well in real life, he's not lying. That's his boy. He's gonna go to Tony Khan. You have to sign him. I'm only worried because WWE needs Ricochet. If that makes sense, you need a caliber that high flyer, because it's kind of like Ospreay, Pac, Ricochet. You know what I'm saying? Will he be any better off in AEW than he's in WWE? Might get featured more, maybe. I don't know.
I think he has a higher ceiling though in AEW than he will in WWE, because he doesn't have the mic skills to have that high of a ceiling in WWE.
Bingo. AEW is the land where people wrestle, yada yada yada. You know, you're more likely to make it his size than being a giant. So kind of like Ethan Page, he's at that point where he's like 33, 34 years old. Better to try than not to try, if that makes sense. So I can see him potentially entertaining the offer. So Manfred Irvin being in another company is not going to hurt the situation, because you got other wrestlers like, you know, the Malachi Blacks and, you know, it's Zelina Vega, you know, of the world. So that's not going to really do anything. And also AEW don't really tour as much. So who knows? So yeah, I think Ricochet, Natalya may resign. It would be funny for her just to go to AEW to win the Owen Cup just for LOL, you know. You know what I'm saying? That'll be funny. Yeah. Chad Gable, I feel like is a good bargaining power for him to get more money. I think that's what it is. Just get more money, because he's proven his worth in his current storyline. So repay him handsomely in return. Who's another person whose contract is up? So we said Chad. We said Ricochet. We did Natalya. Who else's contract is up?
Becky.
Becky, when they did that statement, it was very John Moxley. It's very Dean Ambrose. Oh, you know, taking time off. They're gonna come back during a later time when they feel better. And then you see the vignette debuting in New Japan Strong. It is the return of Rebecca Knox. No,
Rebecca Quinn is all elite.
I don't. I don't know. The thing with Becky, you can never be sure. Yeah, Seth has resigned, but maybe Becky wants to take a 2-year break and do something different because maybe what Mercedes been doing might inspire her because she very much loves wrestling and she's done everything she can do in WWE to the point where she's been disrespected and people trying to gaslight us into that she never puts anyone over. So I feel like the WWE crowd don't deserve her. If I was her, just to do this, go to AEW so that way they can cry them a river because they don't respect her. They don't respect what she's done for the women's division, how she's putting a lot of people over. She's putting Lara over. Lara got made by being the one that dethroned Becky's NXT title reign. So when people say she didn't put anyone over, I'm like, you're mistaking her for Charlotte Flair. If that's not Charlotte Flair wrestling, you're not talking about Charlotte Flair. That's Becky Lynch. So if I was her, which I'm not, I just want to see her in AEW. Just for like a year or two, boost out that division, and then go back to WWE later. I feel like she's done everything she can do or come back as a heel. It's one of those weird things where Becky has Stone Cold 2002, where you're like, what do we do with you? You had your heel run, which was polarizing, even though I like Austin's heel run in bits because he did need freshening up. She's done everything she can do in WWE. It is legit like she'll be treading water. She legit is one of those people of the horsewomen, besides Mercedes. Mercedes had Royal Rumble left maybe to win, but she's done all she can do. Yeah. I think if I want Becky in AEW, I think because it'll be something different for her. And it'll be exciting as well. You want to change, you want to make history, you want to shake things up again. Be the Kevin Nash to Mercedes Scott Hall. Go to create a revolution in AEW. I would love to see that. It's not going to happen, but it might do. We never thought Dean Ambrose would go to, well, I don't know. We didn't know. Who knows?
Yeah, female outsiders. I like that reference. That would be very interesting. I don't see it. I've been on the 90%. Becky Lynch is going back to WWE. I would even say I'm still at 90%. The person that I think it would benefit them the most to hear an offer from AEW is Ricochet. I agree with you. He's the guy that has the highest ceiling out of everybody. Him and Chad Gable have the highest ceiling of anybody that we've listed as far as going to AEW because they are so much top-notch workers that they would fit in very nicely in an AEW, and especially someone like Chad Gable who has improved on the mic and is so good and natural on the mic that he would be even better position than Ricochet if he made that jump. But I don't see it happening for Chad because of the push he's gotten as of late.
Yeah, and also I feel like it's less risky. Men like him with a family, it's kind of like if it was a year ago, if it was during the Shorty G era, yeah, she'll get the heck out of there. But they're finally giving him his just dues. So it's kind of like he'll be like, let me see where I go with this. Because to go to AEW, he has to restart all over again. Because it's a pecking order. You have to start at the bottom, then go all the way up. He's at a point where it's like if Christian Cage in 2005 was actually given the SummerSlam match with Cena. Okay, I'm gonna resign.
Yes, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
That is a good reference.
They're going with me.
Great reference.
They're going with me, so I'm not gonna resign TNA. Sorry, TNA. I'm gonna see this through. I got a SummerSlam match. Actually, I got an Unforgiven match. It's not Kurt Angle and John Cena for Unforgiven 2005. It's me. But yeah, so I can see
Chad signing that contract and he's getting the Intercontinental title right
at least more money. I think at least bump up in pay and then give him the title as a reward. You know, good job, pal. You know, here's the title. You're one of my OG guys. Jason's a shame your neck's broken. Yeah, you're one of my OG guys. You know, congratulations. So yeah, I can see that. But Natalya, again, bump up in pay would be nice because she can easily go again. She's been made. No offense. If it's not NXT, she rests on her laurels. It's only this year she stopped resting on her laurels, and because she's another one. X trying to lie to me she can't wrestle. I'm like, huh? Oh, she's not that talent. Oh, she does. You know, I hate when people do that. I'm like, yeah, because she's been given the opportunity. They tell her have 3 minutes and get out. She's not gonna have a 5-star banger.
Yeah,
you know. So yeah, I hope she gets a bump in pay.
She had a great match with Io Sky just a couple of weeks ago when she actually got time out there to work. So she's been doing good work over on NXT as well. But we're gonna see who is gonna listen to AEW, who's gonna re-sign with WWE, and we will keep you posted on that in the weeks to come. But let's finish what we missed. I know your daughter's like, it's time to come, Dada, and my daughter's saying the same thing. But that's why I said I'm gonna wrap all this up real quick here. New Japan Pro Wrestling is next up. They had the Wrestling Super Juniors 31 final week. Day 10 featured Doki getting the win over Kushida. You had Taiji Ishimori beating Sho. Hiromu Takahashi picked up the win over Drilla Maloney. Day 11 was the final night for the A block as El Desperado beat Hayata in a very good main event to win the block. Qualifying for the semifinals, you also had Blake Christian. He lost to Kosei Fujita, who picked up an upset win, and TJP as the Aswang picked up the win over Teton in a very good matchup for TJP to qualify for the semifinals thanks to his win. Day 12 was the final night for B block as we saw Taiji Ishimori defeating Hiromu Takahashi in a great main event to qualify for the semifinals as he won the B block. Dragon Dia pulled off an upset win in his only win of the tournament over Kushida, and Doki pulled off the win over Robbie Eagles to qualify for the semifinals. Over on TNA Impact this week, you had Joe Hendry in the main event beating Eddie Edwards of the System. You also had Moose attacking Matt Hardy in a show-closing angle before their Against All Odds main event. You had Santana and Steve Macklin. They went to a no contest after the Rascals interfered, and ABC did battle as it was Chris Bay picking up the win over Ace Austin in this battle of tag team partners. Meanwhile, you had Mustafa Ali, the X Division champion, beating Leon Slater in a good bout. And we have some news when it comes to TNA because TNA's in turmoil, apparently. PW reports that they have let go several people in restructuring from Anthem. This included Dave Said, who was the creative director of Impact and TNA. He has been there for over 20 years. He was the director of TNA Television, and before that, the creative director for WWE. Several other releases were from their live events division. Anthem is currently deciding who will run that in the future. They have not decided as of yet, and TNA has no bookings for events past August. There is still no location or venue for Bound for Glory, their biggest event of the year, and talent don't even know about the releases that are being made. Meanwhile, R.D. Evans has exited the company. He was the head of creative and he worked as a producer with the company. His relationship with Anthem has deteriorated over the last couple of months as he has become increasingly frustrated with Anthem's direction for the company. Evans reportedly made the decision to leave, and it was a mutual one. And in a new report, Fightful Select says Louis D'Angelo, who was the former sign guy Dudley, has left the company well, and he was a part of their creative team as well with live events and backstage personnel. So, like we said before, WWE is putting himself in a very good position right now. That's all I gotta say. It doesn't look good for TNA and their future.
R.D. Evans, that's the Chikara guy, right? R.D. Evans was that Chikara guy years ago, right? That's him, right?
Yeah, and he took over the embassy from Prince Nana in Ring Honor back in the day.
There you go. Yeah, I just want to highlight that. That's a no name. You know, I want people to know this guy is somebody. That's a shame. I feel they were so close. TNA was so close, man. We were just here in January. We were so high on TNA. Going back to the name, they had Scott D'Amore as the face of the company, and since Scott left, it's just been. It does feel, you know what? It does.
And this WWE collab feels like an EJG chart. They're still alive, but it's still going in that direction.
I do feel like this is WCW at the tail end, and people keep saying that. They said it for TNA so many times, but it feels like it. They're letting go good people that actually care about TNA. The people that have quit out of frustration are people that care. It feels like Anthem stopped caring. That's why Scott D'Amore got fired, because he wouldn't leave him alone. Like, I need a bigger budget. I want to sign this guy. I want to sign that guy. I need a bigger budget. I need a bigger budget. You got a big mouth. Get out of here. R.D. Evans, like, I want to give better storylines, but you're not doing it. What do I have to work with? It is frustrating when the company you're working for are not aligning with the vision. So it is annoying. I wanted TNA to succeed because you need a number 3 brand. TNA is the rehab place. It's a place you go to prove yourself in the mic, prove yourself in the ring, and you go to the big 2. You know, they need a new number 3 because TNA is not it anymore. So it sucks.
Yeah, and New Japan's not in good shape either, where they were like another
right.
number 3 spot. So
Noah, be number 1 again, like you were in the 2000s.
right. Let's go, Noah. But Noah, their cyber fight president, went out and said, "Oh, my number 1 goal is strengthening our relationship with WWE." Well, good luck with that.
Oh, Japan, just cyber.
Like
bring that people back. Stardom. I know. Stardom. Bring in men to boost your division up.
Come on, Conan, AAA.
AAA. Nah.
We're to Chrissy Love's favorite part of the show, match of the week. I'm gonna make this quick. I'll give you my 5 off the back. They pretty much come from AEW. Number 5 for me, I will go with Swerve versus Christian from Double or Nothing. Number 4 for me this week, I will go with the Casino Gauntlet from Dynamite. Number 3 for me this week, I'm gonna go with I'll go with I'm gonna go back. Swerve number 5. Number 4 for me is gonna be Ospreay versus Roderick Strong from Double or Nothing. Then I'll go the Casino Gauntlet, Mercedes Willow number 2, and number 1 for me, Anarchy in the Arena. Josh, what's your matches?
I'm gonna go with the top 3. Number 3, I'm gonna go with the Casino Gauntlet. Number 2, I'm gonna go with Mercedes and Willow, and then number 1, Anarchy in the Arena.
Set.
Technically, King of the Ring was part of that week as well, right? Does that
qualify? We technically made King of the Ring part of last week's show because we did it on Sunday. I'm sorry.
It's okay, sir.
You could do 3. You could do 3.
I could do 3. Yeah. Anarchy in the Arena. Ospreay and Strong for number 2. And I really like the Gauntlet match. I feel like it's something they should go with in the future. The structure was great because it could have been a slog to watch. Everything had a meaning and it had their points. And yeah, that's a crowning achievement in Tony Khan's trophy case. Yeah, it's an accomplishment. It's nice.
I said with some fine tuning, you put that on a pay-per-view and it can become as big for AEW as the Royal Rumble was for WWE.
I agree. But it's always that thing though of because it's sudden death, why not end at the first thing? I know like they did in number 10, but it's always like that as a human being, you're like, why not? Why not?
I want them to be at least one time where it's just the 2 people in the ring and you get the pin, and then we go to the back and we see all these people upset that they weren't able to come.
But it would mean though the match would end in 2 minutes, whatever it is, because there's like a time limit, right? So it would legit be brass knuckles before the match starts. Start it 1, 2, 3. That son of a bitch.
That son of a bitch. All right. And then finally, we will end things off with quick predictions for the Best of Super Juniors 31 semifinals and finals for Dominion, which is going to be next weekend. Monday is going to be the semifinals. So I'll start with Josh here. We got semifinal matchup, El Desperado he was the A block winner. He's going to be going against the B block runner-up, Doki. Who you got, Josh?
I'm going to go El Desperado.
Sat?
El Desperado, because he feels like this generation's Liger in terms of being a solid hand for that division.
He is one of the faces of the division. Outside of Hiromu Takahashi, it's El Desperado. Yeah. That's why it's surprising. He's never won a Best of Super Juniors tournament. I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to go with El Desperado for the win here. Then you got Taiji Ishimori, the winner of B block versus the runner-up of A block, TJP. I've been a big TJP supporter throughout this tournament, so I'm going with him. Sat, who you got?
TJP, the alleged new leader of United Empire. So yeah, let's go with him.
Alleged. Josh?
TJP.
TJP as well. So in the finals, it will be TJP versus El Desperado, according to us. But Dominion is going to be next Sunday. We're going to be doing our show live following the end of Dominion. So that's why we're going to do predictions real quick for the top matches. Unfortunately, this is one of the top matches. Woo! Jon Moxley versus Evil for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship in a lumberjack death match. Sat, what do you got?
If Ghetto's playing 4D chess, this would be the best way to stick a middle finger up Tony Khan's nose. Your ace, yeah, lose to Evil. That would be fantastic. But I see Moxley winning, having BCC helping him out and Shota to back him up. Yeah,
I think Moxley gets the win, and then Naito comes out to challenge him for a forbidden door. Josh,
Mox for the win. I want no thoughts of Evil winning.
Then you got for the IWGP and NJPW Strong Openweight Tag Team Championships is going to be Kenta and Chase Owens, the IWGP champions, defending against Hikuleo and El Fantasmo, Hiroki Goto and Yoshihashi Bishamon, and the NJPW Strong Openweight Tag Team champions Shane Hayes, Mikey Nichols, TMDK. I'm going to go with TMDK to get all the tag team gold. Josh?
Oh, that is a good one. I'm going to say that the champs retain. I'm just going to go with there.
Sat?
The mighty don't kneel. Oh, because the other guys that have all had the title is a bit, you basically, with the loss of Aussie Open, is open up the door for TMDK to take that spot and that run, because you got no GOD, the OG GOD. It feels like Ghettos looks for a new tag team to push for like a year, and they become the best tag team in the world wherever. And TMDK are due for a run after a unfortunate NXT run for both guys and the main roster run for one of them. Was it 8-Ball? Where his character was, and he had a spatula, whatever, for a mask.
Slapjack. He was Slapjack. He was the Slapjack.
Yeah, slap nuts. Yeah. So TMDK for the win.
We're in agreement there. And then we got the KOPW 2024 Provisional Championship match. Yuri Uemura will defend against Great Okan. I'm gonna go with Uemura to retain because he just got the title. Sat?
I love me some Great Okan, but yeah, Uemura to win, because they need to establish the once again the stepchild or the stepbrother of the Three Musketeer.
He is though. Josh?
Uemura retains. I can't take Great Okan serious. Sorry.
What? He's great. He's a throwback.
And then
he's great on social media. I'll give you that. He's great on social media.
He's who you want if you get kidnapped.
And then the final matches are all going to be bangers. You got for the NJPW World Television Championship, Jeff Cobb defends against Tomohiro Ishii. Unfortunately, Ishii never wins, so I'm going with Cobb. Sat?
Cobb, man. Cobb. Jeff Cobb. All the
Josh?
Oh,
Josh?
Cobb is good. I got Cobb winning.
And then you got the aforementioned Shingo Takagi defending the Never Openweight Championship against the returning Hanare. I think this is Hanare's time. He gets the win and becomes Never Openweight Champion. Josh?
Ooh. I'm sticking with Shingo.
Who you got, Sat?
You know how Ghetto likes to book. It's Hanare, because Hanare's getting that push. It seems a Never Openweight title seems to be the title for guys they want to start pushing. Kind of like Gabe Kidd having the US version of the title. It's the belt that signifies, you know what, I want to push you for a bit.
Facts. And then we all predicted the same in the semifinals. So who wins the finals? TJP versus El Desperado. Best of Super Juniors finals. Sat?
I want it to be Desperado because you said he's never won it before, but I can see it because TJP needs to establish himself. Who's the leader of a group? I just say go with the leader, right? It's kind of like the Finley thing where the leader of the group needs something to cachet to be like, I've done, the other leader did it, I've done it too. So TJP.
Yeah, that's why I think TJP had the best story going into the tournament, that he needs to win this. Cobb put him on the mission that you need to win something to be the leader of United Empire. So he wins the Best of Super Juniors tournament. Josh, who you got?
TJP.
There we go. Frantic World says TJP wins the tournament. You got Big Man Dogs who says Gabe versus Hanare to unify the titles. I would love that after their match in Kurgan Hall earlier this year. And then we got our super chat donation, our final one from Will Chisholm. Thank you so much, Will Chisholm. I appreciate you. He says, SP3, I know you're not a scooper, but you know some things. Why you think TNA has done all these office cuts? Are you like most people who think TKO is burying TNA? No, I think that all these decisions is by Anthem, and that Anthem has hit the point that Sinclair Broadcasting was at the end of 2021 with Ring of Honor, where they realized they're a TV cable network that doesn't really value or promote wrestling that well, that owns a wrestling company. So they're looking for ways to cut down on costs and eventually work their way to a sale of this company. That's right.
And it's kind of crazy because then it got the more push for that. Like, didn't he tell like Anthem?
Yeah,
like,
I'll buy it. I'll buy it.
He had like some kind of like investors involved, like willing to buy it, and then now they're kind of in that position. I mean, it's a weird situation. They probably thought, hey, we don't need this guy. We could probably take over, and they probably realized like, oh shit, we don't know what we're doing.
I've seen this before. So Scott D'Amore and Fusion are gonna come in and say we gotta buy the company, and then TNA will get sold for like $1 million to WWE on a sneeze deal.
It's gonna be a minuscule of what Scott D'Amore was gonna give.
Yeah,
it's so true. We see it happening.
Fuck him over. Just to fuck him over as well. You fat fuck. That's what you get for telling us to give you some money. Take this money.
Telling us how to run our company.
TNA's back. Fucking back.
Oh my god. This was
a great job, idiots. You got less money for this shit. Great job.
This was a long episode, but a great episode. I had a smile on my face the entire time, and that's thanks to my co-host here, Josh. But of course, our special guest, the one and only Sat E. Niangi, the meaty aura himself. The spotlight is yours, sir. Let everybody know where they can follow you on social media and what you got going on right now.
Follow Sat E. Niangi on X at SatNext2. Sometimes I display my wrestling opinions. Sometimes I display my film and TV opinions. You can find me there. Sometimes I'm on WrestleTalk. I may be on there next month if they do another reactions live stream. I'll be there because I'm the current Jam That Champion. I'm the first black one. I'm the first black everything. So yeah, catch me there.
We might have to talk to WrestleTalk to have the first ever all black Jam That Championship matchup. I'm just saying they've never done that. They never had a Trick Williams versus Carmelo Hayes for the Jam That Championship.
Go to Luke. Luke, holla at Luke. Luke's the one that's been bringing. He's been the guy booking me for the shows lately. It's been Luke. Luke's the only one that's keeping me relevant. Luke's the one that's keeping me relevant. I'm
gonna hit up Luke today. I'm gonna pitch him. I'm gonna be like, you can have your version of Carmelo versus Trick, me versus Sat. Mocha Boys collide at Clash at the Castle. Since I'm going to be free that day, like I said before, we're going to be on Sunday that week. But Josh, let everybody know where they can follow you.
You can follow me at JamPunk321, Twitter and Instagram. Next weekend, I won't be on, but I'll be at Brooklyn Comic Con. I have an artist appearance on June 8th and 9th. Got some new artwork done. I'll show you some of it now. The 3 new features that I did. The first one that I got done was The Rock right here. So this would be a new feature that I got done.
Final boss.
They're all going to be in production this week. I'm making copies of all of them. So that's what I'm doing. Second one.
The American
New champion Cody Rhodes. And that added Pharaoh right there. You see him? Right there.
Yes.
You little shithead. Hey, Pharaoh. Shithead.
And the last one, which was my favorite, and it took the longest, was the new X-Men one that I did.
Yeah.
All hand drawn. This one took about 5 days to do. So, yeah, I have all those, selling them as well. So if anybody's ever interested, they can always hit me up. DM me if you ever want anything to purchase. So I'll be there this weekend.
Thank you so much. Check Josh out at Brooklyn Comic Con. We will be back with the Flagship podcast next Sunday, 11:05 a.m. Eastern Time. Miss Christy Love will be rejoining us for that one. We'll have a special guest as well. So stay tuned for that. I will be back live tomorrow, 12:05 p.m. Eastern time, here on the flagship, here on the main channel for Collision Discourse with Sober Guy JJ. We're also going to have some content over on Tru Heel Heat Sports and Entertainment with the X 97 episodes ranked, as well as a Power Book 2 Ghost Season 4 preview. So check that out as well. But for Sat E. Niangi, for the Tru Draw Josh, it is me, your Tru Heel Phenom SB3. This has been Tru Heel Heat 279. Contracts, collabs, and chaos. We are signing off until next time.
We're out of time.